What is up, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and everyone tuned in on the Texas Sports Unfiltered app? Welcome to the official pregame show for Texas Sports Unfiltered as we are getting you set for kickoff between the second-ranked Texas Longhorns and the UTSA Roadrunners at DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. Alongside Bucky BK, I am BK Brad Kellner, and we are broadcasting live from the legendary Scholz Garten, just minutes away from the stadium, 2.5 hours away from the Longhorns' third game of the season. And Texas welcomes an in-state foe, UTSA, just up I-35. A lot to get into. We will preview this game from every single angle. We will give our offensive and defensive player of the game predictions. We will give some players to watch from the opposing side. We will give our game score predictions. And we will get you set and tell you everything you need to know for this upcoming matchup. Buck, happy game day, my friend. How are you?
Yes, it is a wonderful day out right now, and it is warm out. I just came from a place that was warm, Midland, Texas, USA, America, and that is somewhere that I like to visit every 5 or 6 years.
Pretty scenic drive, huh?
Boy, that is a long haul. I'll tell you that right now, but it was well worth it. Lake Travis gets a victory last night in high school football, but it's a long trip. That is a long trip into nowhere. You know, I was telling you before, I thought that we would just keep driving and eventually it would just fall off the earth. It would just disappear, and then I would go straight down to hell. Yeah. I mean, it is out there, but still, it's a great day today, no doubt about it. You know, the temperature is going to be a little bit warm tonight for the players. Still, it's, you know, we started to think summer's about to come to an end, but boy, oh boy, these evenings right now are still in the 90s, and it'll be in the 90s for this kickoff too. I've got to believe by kickoff time, we still got to be in the low 90s. We will not be. You and I won't see 70s until the end of October, November.
Yeah, the temperature for kickoff this week, a little different than the temperature up in Ann Arbor a week ago.
Oh, my goodness.
The Longhorns enjoyed upper 50, low 60-degree temps in that road victory at Michigan. Yeah, the game kicks off at 6 o'clock. The projected temperature at 6 o'clock here in Austin, Texas, 94 degrees.
Yes.
So if you are here, hydrate. And, hey, plenty of great beer here. Make sure you mix in a water from time to time. It is going to be toasty. It's humid here in Austin as well. And, look, it's a team that plays in Austin and a team that plays in San Antonio. So both of these teams are used to it. But still, in a game like this, that's where the importance of Texas's depth comes in, Buck. We saw that in week one against Colorado State. More than 70 players played for the Longhorns in that 52-0 shutout season opening win. If the Longhorns can take care of the business the way that they're supposed to as a 5-touchdown favorite, hopefully you're able to rotate guys in and out to where cramps and weather and hydration is not a big talking point for Texas.
No, it'll be a big talking point for the Roadrunners. It won't be for Texas. Texas will have the depth in this football game. They will have not only depth, the size, the speed, the girth, whatever you want, the height. They have it all compared to what's coming up I-35, to play them. This is a real mismatch today, and there should be a lot of opportunities for some young guys and some old guys alike who haven't played a lot of football to get an opportunity to play tonight.
Yeah, Texas's first game as the number 2 team in the country since the 2009 National Championship game. It's been a long time coming for the Longhorns to make it this high in the AP Top 25. Obviously coming off that 31-12 drubbing in Ann Arbor. The Longhorns opened up the season at number 4. They moved up to number 3 after week 1. Now they are the number 2 team in the country, trailing just Georgia. They are 36-point favorites right now against UTSA. Buck, you and I have been talking about this game all week. Look, we'll dive into UTSA. We'll tell you about their quarterback and some of the best players that they have on both sides of the football. But this really does feel like a game that if Texas comes in with the same intensity that they had against Colorado State, the same intensity that they had going against Michigan last week, they're not going to have too many problems.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see anything change with this football team. I don't expect the rat poison or any of that other stuff to show up in this football game. I expect a pretty focused team, as you move from number 4 to number 2 and try to move up the ladder. I don't think you'd start taking a step back. I think you just focus in just a little bit more. And I think the focus has been fantastic over the last 2 weeks. So I wouldn't expect there would be a drop-off in the Horns' performance, in their effort, and them showing strength. I think you'll see some different types of things out of this Horns team, offensively and defensively today. But I don't think you'll see anything that's different about the score. I don't. This is a team, to me today, that if they score 10 points, that means you've given them 7. They may have find a way to earn 3, but I don't see any more than that Texas can give to them. They're going to have to do an awful lot of things in order to be in this football game, and you will have to not even take this serious. And I think the Longhorns are going to take every game from this point on serious anyway.
Yeah, Texas has been incredibly impressive through a couple of games, outscoring their opponents 83-12 in these first two contests. They've only given up one touchdown, Buck, in 2 games, and that came in the final 2 minutes of that win at Michigan last week. So really, with games in hand, this Texas Longhorn team hasn't given up a score all season long. So it does feel like, if they're buttoned up and if they don't make a lot of mistakes, then they should be able to keep UTSA off the scoreboard.
Yeah, this is still a learning process for some of the players at the University of Texas right now that are getting a lot of playing time. So those guys are still learning. They're still trying to understand what the head coach is looking for, what the schemes are offensively and defensively. So it wouldn't surprise me that you had some penalties here and there, but not a bunch that's going to derail what you're trying to do. You're not going to get derailed whatsoever, I don't believe. I think everything still will go ahead of schedule, and they'll get things done. But I don't expect this to be to the point where it's ridiculous, where guys don't take it serious enough, where it just looks sloppy, BK. I don't think it'll look sloppy today. I think it'll look pretty good.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Texas, once again, a 36-point favorite in this game. And we'll let you hear from Steve Sarkisian throughout our pregame show here from Scholz Garten, because Sark talked a lot about avoiding a letdown this week, right? And Sark mentioned it. We can actually play that sound for you right now. Here's Sark on Monday following that big win at Michigan, talking about his team avoiding a letdown following that huge road victory.
Well, twofold. I think one is we try to hold ourselves to our standard. We have a saying around here, the standard is a standard. And a jersey, a helmet, a stadium doesn't dictate how we prepare. We dictate how we prepare. I think that's the first part. But the second part is human nature is human nature. And so what did I do this morning? I walked them through the Notre Dame scenario of them going into College Station a week ago and winning that game and being anointed top 5 team and in the college football playoff, and a week later losing to Northern Illinois. And so I showed that clip of the field goal, and I showed the clip of Northern Illinois storming the field this morning as a good reminder that nothing, we are entitled to nothing. We're capable of anything. We've got a really good team, but we're entitled to nothing. We're going to earn everything we get, and we're going to have to earn the victory here Saturday night.
Did you hear any of that?
I heard a little bit. We've heard it this week. They're entitled to nothing. Everything that you do, you have to work for, and this team has done just that over the last 2 weeks. And I would expect the same thing to happen today. I don't see them going and taking this team for granted or any other team that they play for the remainder of the season. I think Sark has a hand on. He has a control on the majority of what's going on in this football program right now. As I said earlier in the week, there are going to be occasions where you have a couple guys that may play outside the box, but you're not going to have, Brad, you're not going to have a bunch of guys that are doing things the way they want to do it. You're going to have most of the guys doing exactly what the coaches say, exactly how the head coach wants you to play and how he wants you to perform. I don't think you'll see a lot of that. But once again, it's just, as Sark says, it's just human nature.
Yeah.
And that stuff comes into play every once in a while. But human nature can't be human nature for 80 guys. It can maybe for 2, maybe for 3. But you can't have 20 guys that are doing things the way they want to do, and others are doing it some other way. So I don't think you'll run into that at all.
Yeah, that's the hope. And look, Sark talked about showing his guys the Notre Dame Northern Illinois game from a week ago, which to this point in the college football season, that's the biggest upset we had.
Sure.
Right? Notre Dame went on the road to Kyle Field and beat the Aggies in week 1 and came back home as a huge favorite and lost to a team out of the MAC. So there's some motivation right there. But you and I have talked about this all week long, Buck. Like, you don't have to look around the country for evidence of a potential letdown. Just go back to last year, right? The exact same scenario. Texas on the road in week 2 won a top 10 game against a really good team in an incredibly hostile environment. They came back home as a huge favorite against Wyoming. The game was tied going into the 4th quarter. Now, Texas was able to pull away. They won 31-10, so when it was all said and done, it was okay. But the Longhorns, there was clearly a letdown. There was clearly a hangover after that win at Alabama. Exact same scenario this year. Top 10 win on the road, coming home to play a G5 team that you're a hell of a lot better than. Texas is a huge favorite once again. If I'm Sark, look, you've got a lot of guys who were a part of this experience last year. I'm saying, hey, if we don't pay attention, we could find ourselves in a little bit of a dogfight with a team that we should not be dogfighting against.
No, there shouldn't be a dogfight whatsoever. This is not the same Jeff Traylor team that Jeff Traylor has brought down to Austin before. It just isn't. This group right here is – they don't have the quarterback. I mean, they don't have their 20-year veteran quarterback. Right. Again, they don't have the wide receiver. All they bring back is a tight end and a lot of hope. Once again, hope is not a strategy.
No.
And it shouldn't be against the number 2 team in the nation. It really shouldn't. We watched this team play against Texas State. The Bobcats annihilated this group.
Yeah.
And so I'd expect the Texas Longhorns to do the very same.
That's what you think.
Yeah, they're let down or no let down. This game shouldn't be a game that's very close whatsoever. This should be an opportunity for a lot of players. Should be an opportunity for the Texas Longhorns to find out some different things about their teams, individual positions, things like that. I mean, I expected the ball today to be thrown all over the ballpark. I really do. This is an opportunity for Quinn Ewers, the number wide receivers that he's still trying to get used to over 2 games. I expect the ball to be aired out tonight under the lights. I really do.
Yeah, well, let's dive into Quinn Ewers, because at this moment in time, he is the Vegas favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. He has been magnificent through a couple of games this season, and the whole country got to see what he did last week at the Big House against one of the best defenses in college football. Quinn Ewers, the Vegas favorite. The stats are pretty damn good to this point. 44 of 63, 506 yards passing, 6 touchdowns to just 1 interception. He's been smart. The stats tell the story, but also the eye test tells the story.
Sure.
Quinn Ewers looks like a completely different player this season. And, yeah, if he plays the way he played in the first 2 games, then this could be one of those big number performances for QB1.
Yeah, his growth has been incredible from last year even to this year. Just the way he handles his teammates. He's the true leader of this football team, and this team is going to go the way he goes. So if he continues to do the things that he needs to do, he's going to get to New York. That means that this team wins. He doesn't have to have massive stats. We know that award is a stat award, especially when it comes to the quarterback position. But if he can find a way to get to Texas to win the SEC conference, be in the championship game, this ought to be bode well for him to get to New York, because his number is going to be just fine. Like I said, this is truly a stat day today. This is one where he can really pad his stats and then find out about his team also. You take every advantage when you get this kind of opportunity. There's guys here, these are stat games. These are opportunities to find out about individuals on your football team. But it's also a chance for a guy like Quinn Ewers to really show what he's all about.
I think you're right, yeah. And if Texas wins, I think they can run up the score a little bit against UTSA.
Oh, if they want to. I mean, if they want to, they can do that from the very beginning. Yeah. I've noticed something about the head coach, that he's not that guy, and I like that part about him. But this is an opportunity. There's some things that he still needs to find out, especially on the offensive side of what Quinn Ewers and these wide receivers can do. As I said, we haven't seen very many balls. I think the ball needs to be pushed down the field today. I think you're going to see it pushed down the field a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying don't take what they give you. We know you can take that. They're going to give you a lot today. Yeah. But then when you have an opportunity to throw the ball down the field and it's there, don't be afraid to pull the trigger, let it loose.
Yeah, if you have one-on-ones,
let it go.
Any of your top 6 receivers against any of the UTSA secondary, you got to like your chances.
3 new secondary guys, playing on this football team. And as we said, we saw what they did against the Bobcats, and that was not even close. So this shouldn't be – I wouldn't expect this to be close either.
Yeah, these 2 teams could not have looked more opposite last week, right? Texas beat Michigan 31-12 in a game that was never really close. And then Texas State boat raced UTSA, right? That was supposed to be a close game. It was in San Marcos. It was basically a pick-em line in Vegas, and Texas State beat UTSA 49-10. That game was 35-3 at halftime.
Wow.
So the Longhorns looked incredibly impressive in their most recent game. UTSA could not have looked worse in their most recent game. And if today is anything like what we saw 7 days ago, then this one could be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I mean, you don't take anybody lightly. You don't take any opponents lightly. But they know. The head coach knows, the American people know. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows what this game should be like. And all you have to do is go take care of your business. And as I said, I think this is a team that's not a group that will flounder around. I think it's a group that will come out very serious. They'll take their business serious. Because as you said, you don't get to be number 2. You have to work to get to be number 2. And they've done that.
Right.
They've done the work. And why would you want to destroy that in a weekend?
Yeah.
You don't even want to destroy that by winning this football game and looking sloppy. You want to win this game and you want to look clean. You want to have things happen. There's still some things I think may happen in this game, but those will be self-inflicted. It won't be because the Roadrunners put it on you. It'll be because you put it on yourself.
Yeah. Here's Steve Sarkisian. This is from his Thursday press conference. He was asked about his team's intensity this week, and he said he was proud about the way his guys had been preparing for this game against UTSA.
I've been proud of our staff and our team this week in that I don't think anybody has walked around our building like, hey, we've arrived or we're a finished product. I think we all recognize areas for improvement. I think the coaches have remained demanding of the players of how to improve and what the standard is to work at to get better. And I think the players have responded to that. And so I'm looking forward to our guys taking the field and playing a good football game Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you coach them even harder.
Yeah.
This is not the time to let off of them after a game like Michigan, where everybody this week was patting you on your back, telling you how good you are and how wonderful you are, and you're getting all these calls from your old girlfriend back in high school and all. No, it's not. This is not the time. This is just the beginning of the football season. A lot of games to be played, so you got to continue to get better every week. And as I said, I believe Sark and I think his entire staff have this thing kind of well in hand on what the players believe about the coaching staff. I mean, this is where you show respect for your coaches too, and not all of a sudden just kind of let down because of the team that you're playing. This is when you get coached hard. These are the kind of games where they're going to be on you all week long because they know the things that people have been saying about. Because they've said the same thing to the coaches. You guys are fantastic, number 2 team in the nation. Boy, can you guys coach? Boy, your recruiting is picking up. You just had a nice recruit come in now all of a sudden from the Michigan game. Got a 5-star kid that's coming with you. You guys are fantastic. Well, you haven't really done anything yet. The season just started, and things are just getting underway, and you don't want to destroy that all in a weekend. You just don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah, this is, to me, a next step for this Texas football program, right? Because, look, Longhorn fans are tired of talking about it. We're tired of seeing it. Texas is known for playing down to its competition. And we got a guy trying to say hi and have a conversation with you right now. That's tough to do when you're on the air. But you don't have to miss Bucky. You can listen to him every morning on Texas Sports Unfiltered, sir. I don't know if you heard that.
And the baby.
And the baby, too. Yeah, raise him right.
That's
here.
right. Don't let your baby listen to bad sports talk.
No, there's too much of that in this town. Don't subject the kids to it. There's enough adults subjecting themselves to it. Don't subject our children to bad sports talk. But this is another step. Like, obviously, going on the road and beating Michigan was a step for Texas football. But this, to me, you are trying to get that moniker of playing down to your competition. Even last year when Texas won 12 games, won the Big 12, made it to the college football playoff, there were still times where it felt like this team played down to its competition. The Wyoming game that we brought up, the Houston game, the TCU game, it's like Texas clearly had more talent than all of those teams.
Sure.
Yet you're in the fourth quarter in all 3 of those games, and it's a one-possession game, or it's even a tie game.
Yeah, and you will have your moments. You know what I'm saying? You're going to jump offside. Somebody's going to have an illegal procedure. As long as you don't get the penalties that just crush you, the ridiculous penalties, the personal foul type of things that happen.
Yeah.
And these are the things that can happen in a game like this because you're going to outgun this team. You're going to outman this team. Those guys may lose their cool. Some of these kids on the other side may lose their cool. They can bait you into some things that you can make yourself look pretty stupid because you're better than they are. So you have to be careful with that. And I think this team has done a great job of that. They did a great job at Michigan without getting baited into some silly things because you're playing the defending champ, the Cheetahs themselves. They know how to get it done. And you didn't get baited into any silly penalties last week. So you can't have the same thing happen to you this week. You got to just keep your focus, do what you need to do. And this will be about this team. It won't be about the Roadrunners. And most of the year it's going to be about what Texas does and not what their opponents do.
Yeah, and look, I think UTSA is going to come out hungry today. I think
they're
pissed off based on what happened last week. And I think they've probably gotten their asses beat in practice by Jeff Traylor. I mean, you lose a game like that to, it's kind of a rival team in Texas
and
State.
You haven't never lost to them.
And a team that you never lost to before. Not only to lose, but to lose it in that fashion. It was probably a rough week for those guys at UTSA. So they're going to be amped up a little bit, ready to go. But like you said, I mean, the talent gap between these two teams, it shouldn't matter what UTSA does.
And that's why it was probably hard for these guys right here
at
the University of Texas. This practice was probably extra special because the coach didn't want any of these guys thinking that, it's over with before it actually really, really starts. So I've got a feeling that they probably had a good, solid practice this week. And hopefully they've got all the rest that they needed to get, after that game last week because there was some partying going on last week now.
It had to be. I mean, hell, it was an 11 a.m. game, so those guys got back for Saturday night.
Let me tell you something. When your head coach is talking about human nature, believe me, human nature took over last Saturday night for sure.
Yeah, that was one. You just make sure everyone's alive on Sunday, right?
For sure.
We can't control whether or not you go out and party after a win like that.
You make it in time for the meetings or on time.
Yep.
You don't show anybody that you're late. You come in well prepared. You pay attention to what coaches are talking about, what your other teammates are talking about, what you see on film, because you still got to watch that film. You don't get a chance to say, boy, was I good against Michigan, and just let it ride. No, you had to learn from that film how you can get even better.
Absolutely. Hey, for those of you who are here at Scholz Garten, come sign up. We are giving away a pair of Ariat boots and a pair of Ariat denim before our pregame show ends at 5:30. So if you are here at Scholz right now, or if you are making your way to Scholz Garten. Number one, come by and see us in Sangarunde Hall. And number two, sign up for your chance to win a pair of Ariat boots and some Ariat denim.
No doubt about it. I think the legendary Earl Campbell must be on his way or here by now signing autographs, shirts, anything, babies.
Oh, he'll sign your baby?
Sign your baby, probably.
How about that?
Yeah, why not?
I think anyone wants Earl Campbell to sign their baby.
Maybe.
What do you do with that? Like, you just never wash the baby?
Never wash the baby again.
The baby's just going to have that signature until the end of time?
Like a tattoo.
It's going to be like 85 years old, nearing death, and there's still going to be that Earl signature there?
Sure, magic marker, let it roll.
I kind of like that right there. So come by and see us. A little bit more on this UTSA team, Buck. They are 1-1 on the season. They beat Kennesaw State in week 1. Kennesaw State's an FCS team. UTSA was a big favorite. They only won that game 28-16. We mentioned what happened last week in San Marcos where they got crushed 49-10. But this is a UTSA team. I know they haven't looked it through 2 weeks, and preseason polls are just that, preseason polls. They don't have any sort of bearing in what actually happens in the regular season. UTSA was picked to finish second in the American, in the media poll, and they were picked to win the American by Phil Steele in his preseason magazine. And there were some folks out there who were picking the Roadrunners to make it to the college football playoff as the lone G5 representative. They haven't looked that way.
Well, they can stop that.
Yeah,
sure.
you know, through 2 games, I think it's pretty obvious that that's not going to happen. But my point is, this is not a terrible G5 team. At least it's not supposed to be a terrible G5 team. This was expected to be one of the better group of 5 teams in college football this year.
Yeah,
so
I think the nation understands that they've got a pretty good coach.
There's at least some talent there. Like you said, Jeff Traylor has been linked to a number of different jobs. He's turned down a few jobs in the past. Hell, he interviewed for the A&M gig this past offseason once Jimbo Fisher got let go. So it's a well-coached team usually, a team that's got enough talent, a team that had 14 starters back from last year's squad that won 9 games. This team was supposed to be better than what they put on film through 2 weeks.
Yeah, and that just shows you how good that quarterback was.
Yep.
That Harris, how good he was over the last, 15 years or so at UTSA. He was just a phenomenal player. He was probably the greatest player that they've ever had there. So that just shows that. But Jeff Traylor is a fantastic coach. But this team right now, when it comes to the physicality and the size, they just don't match up with Texas. It just so happened to happen that way this year.
Yeah.
They just don't have it. They lost a lot of guys at graduation. They've lost some guys in the portal. And physically, there's some short dudes. They're just a short team. They got a bunch of 6'1" guys on their defensive line, a couple 260-pounders, and that won't hold up against this Texas offense or defensive line. It's sorry, but you got a short team.
Bunch of Kyler Murray's out there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That just happened to happen to your team this year.
Do we need to get a little Lee Corso on?
Not so fast, midget. Not so fast.
Maybe. I know they have an outside linebacker that's 6'6". He's the biggest guy on their team.
Yeah.
They don't even have tackles on the offensive line like that. And their defense, a bunch of guys 6'1", 6'2". It's just physically, they just won't be able to hold up. You'll see a lot of substitutions. Don't worry about the weather. It's just going to be the physicality of this game. And I think Texas rolls pretty early with the physicality. But it was a team that was supposed to be really, really good. But
right.
I don't think Jeff Traylor was expecting that he was going to field, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I'm sorry.
God, hide us right here.
I'm sorry about that.
How tall are you?
I'm a full 5'10".
You're rounding way up. You're like 5'3", 5'4" at best.
Dude, they're little. They just have a little team. I'm sorry, but when you got outside backers running there at, 6 foot, 6'1" against the tackles that Texas has, that's a problem.
Yeah. I mentioned that UTSA is normally well coached. Last week, they looked horrible.
Yes.
Like basic fundamentals. They couldn't tackle anybody. We got a UTSA fan nodding his head right now. They couldn't tackle anybody. They had 10 penalties, bad turnovers. Guys didn't know where they were supposed to be, breakdowns, lack of communication. Like, I'd never seen a game like that from a Jeff Traylor coached team. I looked at Phil Steele's magazine. I mentioned that UTSA was picked to finish first or in the conference by Phil Steele. He does position unit rankings by conference. According to Phil Steele, going into the season, he thought UTSA had the best D-line in the conference. He thought UTSA had the best linebacking group in the conference. Wow. He thought UTSA had the best secondary in the conference. They were number 1 in all 3 phases of their defense. And if you watch that game last week,
they struggled in all 3 phases.
They looked like the worst defense in the conference.
Yeah, they really, really struggled in the secondary. As I said, with 3 new starters in that secondary, the quarterback from Texas State could do anything he wanted to do in that football game and could have done more. So I think what you'll see is I think they'll try to hold the fort as long as they can. I think you'll see a lot of players in the game from UTSA. It's just, as I said, a physical mismatch. It's just going to be hard to get away from the matchups.
Yeah.
It really, really is. And for Texas, I mean, when I talk about the matchup, I don't talk about the starters for Texas. About anybody that comes in the game from Texas, it should be a mismatch in this football game.
I think you're right. And once again, more than 70 players played for the Longhorns in week 1 against Colorado State.
And a bunch played last week.
Yeah, and if Texas does this thing right, I think we'll see something similar today. But yeah, I mean, Sark's talked about it all offseason. This is the deepest team he's had at Texas, the deepest team the Longhorns have had maybe since the 05 national championship team. And there's not much of a drop-off between the 1s and 2s.
No.
I said it after week 1. I think the Texas reserves will be a top 25 team in college football.
I would agree.
I don't think they'd be the number 2 team in the country or anything like that, but I do think they'd be a really, really good football team, which means, yeah, the Texas backup should be able to run with UTSA today. So anybody you put on the field, and obviously Quinn's going to start a quarterback, but you should see a rotation with the running backs, and I want to get your thoughts on that in a second. You should see some rotation with the wide receivers. You should see some rotation on the D-line and in the secondary. A lot of guys should be able to rotate to keep dudes fresh for all 4 quarters tonight because, yeah, you feel like you could throw just about any scholarship player on the field, and you're going to have the talent advantage over what's on the other sideline.
Yeah, and I would expect that. I would expect that from the third line of players that will come to the game for the University of Texas against the Roadrunners. There shouldn't be much of a drop-off whatsoever.
No.
I don't think the head coach expects it to be that way, and I wouldn't expect it to be that way, and I don't think the fans would expect to see it that way either. I think you're going to see a really good football team, the number 2 team in the nation, just dismantle a group that, quite really, they just physically can't be on the field with them and shouldn't be on the field. And there's nothing that you can do to yourself except for look bad today. That's the only thing you can do is make yourself look bad. Your players should come out and be hungry because you don't get that many opportunities. I mean, if you're a third string player, you're going to start getting to the point when you get into SEC play, dude, you may not be on the field for a lot of games.
You're right.
So any opportunity you get as a backup, you got to treat it as if you're a starter, and you seriously want that job badly. I don't care how good the guy in front of you is. This is my job. You've got to play that way. You can't play that I'm the backup. I'm just glad to be here. I'll try not to make any mistakes. I hope nothing goes wrong. No. You can't even pretend. You have to be as good as the guy who let you in.
Yeah.
Or you won't see that feel again.
Very well said. All right, one more from Steve Sarkisian here. This will transition into our conversation about the Texas run game because I want to hear your thoughts on the running back rotation today. But Steve Sarkisian was asked on Thursday where this UTSA team can present some challenges to the Longhorns today.
Well, I think they're really good up front defensively. They've got length, they've got size. Their 2 interior guys are big people. And, a couple of years ago, we had a hard time kind of running the ball early, and then Bijan kind of got himself going there. But these guys got a good scheme, but it all starts with the way they play up front. And, we've got to do a better job this year around trying to block them.
Did you catch any of that?
Yeah.
He did say the guys are big.
Well, I mean, he's being very kind
to
Jeff Traylor. As I said, Sark is not going to say anything that's going to come back to haunt him later on, in a press conference later. So he's not going to say what I say. I can call them small and not very big and not have a lot of length. But the head coach isn't going to do that. If he sees a guy that just says 6'6" on there and he's a defensive player, he's going to think they're all 6'6", but they're not. They're 6'2", 6'1".
Right.
That's just the way it is. But he's going to show respect for Jeff Traylor and his football program. I thought he did that for the Michigan program, when that could have very easily been, they're not as good. They're not as good as everybody thought they were at Michigan. I think Sark showed really what he is, what kind of coach he is. He's a smart coach, and he doesn't want to give anybody any bulletin board material, and he doesn't want to give the nation any of that stuff either. Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Well, maybe he was thinking about Michigan's return trip to Austin in a couple of years, and he's
Why not?
I don't want to piss them off.
Why would you do that? There's no reason to. There's no reason to show you. He didn't have to show any extra touchdowns on Michigan last week. He didn't have to prove any points. The point was proven by halftime, really, of that football game. So there's no reason for him to add insult to injury last week against the University of Michigan. And I don't think he'll do it tonight. I think it may happen naturally because his team is just better. But I don't think the head coach of Texas in the fourth quarter is looking to put 2 or 3 more on the board just to say, here's what we could do. We can get 70 on that. I don't think he's that kind of coach or that kind of person.
I want to get your thoughts on the Texas run game, Buck, because Steve Sarkisian did say in that answer that UTSA has done a pretty good job stopping the run this year, and they have. Last week, you look at the box score of that game against Texas State. Texas State ran for close to 200 yards. they just averaged barely over 4 yards a carry, and a lot of those yards came in garbage time in the second half when the game was in hand. And it's like Texas State was running it on every single play. UTSA did a good job against the run against Kennesaw State in week 1. They did a good job against the run in the 2023 season. And Texas, to this point, it's only a couple of games. They have not had a 100-yard rusher. Matter of fact, Jarrett Gibson is the leading rusher on the season for Texas. He has 103 yards total in 2 games so far. So what do you expect from the Texas running backs today, Buck? And do you think one of the 3, whether it's Gibson or Jaden Blue or Trey Wisner, is able to become the first Longhorn to crack the century mark this season?
Well, I think 2 of them will. Yeah, I think at least 2 of them will. I think they would like to – obviously, I'd like to get Jaden Blue 100 yards, but I don't need him to be playing that long.
Right.
I really, really don't. Wisner is another kid. This is the kind of game for him, the kind of competition that he can get 100 yards, 115, 120 yards. But for Gibson, this is a game you want to prepare him so that he can get ready to move into that number 2 slot. Because I think before the season's all said and done, he will be going in after Jaden Blue. He will be the guy because they will have the faith in him that he's no longer a freshman, that he's played in enough big games to understand that, that he needs to secure the ball. He needs to finish his runs. He does all the things that you look for in a veteran, but it's still pretty early in the season. So I don't know how much trust they have in him, but I think this is one of those games where he gets to get 100 yards in this game too. I mean, all 3 of them could get 100 yards, but I think you have to be very careful with Jaden Blue. Jaden Blue may get his 100 yards very quickly before halftime.
Yeah.
And then go sit him down and let him relax, let Wisner and Gibson. But I'm the guy that I really want to get prepared to play when it comes to SEC football or when Florida, Georgia teams like that, Mississippi State shows up, the teams with some physicality. I'd like to see Gibson get into it because I think he's got the ability to do that. He just needs some more experienced runs. And for him to get out there and start getting some runs in, I think it's going to create some wonderful problems for that running back room. I really do.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious to see how much Jaden Blue we see today because he did get hurt in the first quarter of that Michigan game. Did come back into the game and looked pretty damn good. He juked the hell out of some poor Michigan corner in that game once he came back from injury. But, still it's a long season. Like you said, you've got bigger fish to fry after this weekend. So I think Jaden Blue's going to play. He's practiced this week. He's not on any sort of injury report. So I think we'll see him, but I do wonder if it's a small dose of Jaden Blue just to make sure he's healthy.
And I'll tell you this, I'm learning as everybody else that has watched the running back room and watched the kids play that Wisner is better than I initially thought. But I see him growing into that position, doing some things. But he just doesn't get the long kind of breakaways. It's just he's still learning a little bit himself.
Travion.
But I'll let Travion.
Quinn Travion.
Yeah. Sorry, Mom. Sorry about that, Mom.
You're going to call him Trey?
Trey. I'm just going to call him Trey.
There
But I know this. He does have the ability to make you miss. He finishes run. They all finish the runs.
Yep.
Really, really well. Very seldom you see those kids get knocked back. And the freshman really doesn't get knocked back. I mean, he is a strong physical runner. He just needs to make some one-on-one cuts to get loose. And let's see if he can go the distance on a long run. I'd like to see what kind of speed he has. I know how he can finish a run. Wisner, I don't know about his speed. I don't really care about his speed. Hey, only takes 10 yards to get a first down.
Right.
And now Jaden Blue can do it all. He can catch coming out of the backfield. He can catch. He can make you miss. He can make you miss on a bum ankle. I mean, Sark outflanked Michigan so badly in that football game last week. They were on the corner so quick that the linebackers couldn't catch up to the running backs, so it left it one-on-one with the cornerbacks. And Texas won most of those battles the Longhorns won. They will win a lot of battles tonight.
This team is so damn fast.
Goodness.
All over the field. They have everything you look for in a national championship roster because they're fast as hell on the outside, but they're big and strong up front. And if you're able to look like that against Michigan, you sure as hell should be able to look like that against UTSA.
Yeah, and I think you'll start to notice Jaden Blue a lot over the next couple of weeks because I think they're really preparing him for SEC play.
Yeah,
they are, but they need to get the freshmen ready. They need to get Jonte Cook ready too.
I want to see Texas as a team rush for more than 200 yards today.
I would think I think that's going to be an easy one right there. So right?
They got to 190 against Colorado State.
Sure.
Their leading rusher against Michigan was Ryan Wingo, who had 1 carry. That was a 55-yard reverse. It was a great play call and a great run by him. But once again, no individual runner has ran for more than 70 yards in a game this season. And then as a team, you've yet to crack 200. Not like the run game's been bad. This Texas offense has been great. They're averaging 40-plus points per game, and that's the most important number that's out there. But it would be nice, I don't know, you as a running back coach probably feel this way, to see Texas be able to dominate on the ground.
I wouldn't have any choice because guys like Ricky Williams and Priest Holmes would say, hey, dude, it's time. What are you doing?
Yeah, give me the ball.
I need to have the ball. This is my ball this week, and I would agree. But the game last week was one of those games. I looked for total yards at rushing. I really didn't care who came up big in the game. I knew that if they rushed for at least 130 yards last week, they were going to be able to win the game. If they rushed for more than that, they got to the 140s, they were going to win the game. And they rushed for 143, and that was plenty.
Yep.
So the individuals didn't really matter. A game like today, this is as I said before, stat game.
Stat game.
Stat time.
Should be. Yep.
It should be a stat time for one of the better runners in the SEC, and Jay Blue is one of the better runners. I think he's one of the better all-around backs in the SEC, coming out of the backfield, catching the ball. Because those little swing screens, they count as receptions, and that'll be on his, as a receiver. Those are things that a lot of guys in the SEC, a lot of running backs can't do. Mm-hmm. Those are really a lot of things that quarterbacks can't throw, or those little simple swing screens. They're very difficult to do, and this quarterback and these running backs kind of have that down. And I guarantee that Sark works extra hard on that because he knows if he can outflank people with the speed that he has, it's going to be an awful lot of fun. One-on-ones are perfect.
Yeah, that's a great hat right there. See that woman wearing the 05 National Championship
hat?
That
is great.
A little rose on the back of it. I don't see that too often in 2024. That's big time.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see that hat with the horns on it. Sue Patrick hat. Where's that?
There you go. Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. I should have
brought
it.
See that.
I should have brought it. That's on me.
That's OU week.
It is OU week. Oh, absolutely. Hey, before we get back into Texas UTSA, how about some scoreboard updates brought to you by our great friends at Moonshine, Patio, Bar, and Grill.
Oh, yeah, we do love the Moonshine. Hey, Mom and Dad, you're in town. Get that wallet out, get that purse out, and get that credit card out.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Moonshine, Patio, Bar, and Grill, your kids want to take their roommates, their girlfriends, their friends to brunch, Sunday brunch at the Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill on you, Dad. Okay, on you. They're going to take them there. And
even if you're not in town, they're going to use your credit card and pay to take all their friends out.
They got the number, as a matter of fact. 20 years at 2 locations, one downtown and one out in Avery Ranch. Join the gang over there for lunch and happy hour dinner and the famous buffet on Sunday. The Sunday brunch at the Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. It can't be beat. Thank you to Chuck and Larry over there at the Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill.
I forgot to put these on. I've got my Sark shades on today.
Nice.
These are the exact ones he wears.
His wife's still dressing him. I liked his get up last week.
I think his wife's still dressing him. They mentioned that on the broadcast.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if the divorce ever happened.
Dude, take the credit for you dressing you. You being the man dressing the man.
Maybe he's trying to get back into the good graces of L'Oreal. So he's giving her some extra love.
Don't fall for it. Don't fall for the get-ups.
Oh, man.
Don't fall for the get-ups. Just dress yourself. Look in the mirror and dress yourself. You're a man. You can get it done.
Absolutely. All right.
It may not match, but who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, you're coaching football.
That's right. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Just win, baby. Just win. All right, some final scores from earlier today. Your alma mater, Boston College, put up a good fight in Columbia, but they come up a little bit short against Mizzou, 27-21 the final score there. Mizzou, the 6th-ranked team in the land, improves to 3-0. Bill O'Brien's Boston College Eagles fall to 2-1. Game of the day, I know it's early, but I don't know if we'll have a better game than the game we had in Columbia, South Carolina. We talked about Columbia, Missouri. Now Columbia, South Carolina. LSU 36, South Carolina 33. South Carolina led 17-0. Their quarterback, Lenore Sellers, got hurt late in the first half. He tried to play in the second half, but wasn't the same player. South Carolina had to bring in their backup. LSU comes all the way back. They take a lead late. South Carolina had a 49-yard field goal attempt at the end of regulation to force overtime, but they missed it. So LSU gets a huge win. Buck, if LSU loses that game, we're talking about Brian Kelly's seat heating up.
Oh, no, it was going to heat up for sure, especially the way South Carolina ran out. Not only good defense, but pretty good offense to start that football game. And that's a big win for LSU.
It is.
I really hate to say that's a big win for LSU, but it really is. I don't think they've lost to South Carolina before. They can't afford to lose that game.
It's been a long time,
man,
since LSU has lost at South Carolina.
To lose to USC and the other USC?
Right.
And kidding me?
3 weeks. I think LSU, if they lost today,
the fans would have gone nuts there.
They would have been 1-2 for just the second time in the last 30 years.
Wow.
So, I don't know if it's a big win. It's just avoiding a bad loss.
Yes.
Is what it feels like.
Yeah, you're right about that.
For LSU. Michigan, the 17th ranked team in the country, they bounced back and beat Arkansas State 28-18.
Good for them.
And the offense looked a little bit better. They actually scored a couple of rushing touchdowns, which they hadn't had any rushing touchdowns going into this game. They win by 10 to get back into the win column. And then Alabama, the 4th ranked team in the land, no problem in Madison, 42-10, the Tide roll at Camp Randall Stadium.
No offense for the Badgers.
They look very good. We got a Mizzou fan here.
Yeah, man.
Hey, congrats on not covering the spread today. You can't brag. You didn't cover the spread. Forgot his shirt.
It's my sleeper team.
Oh.
Hey, don't be talking to my guy. That's my sleeper team.
You're right.
Mizzou.
He's very high on Mizzou this year. So good luck to y'all. But you didn't pay up on your bet. You said if they didn't cover, you were going to wear orange. They didn't cover. Where's your orange? All right. You got to buy one because that is a hideous color right there, my friends. We appreciate you coming by. Enjoy the game. Some games in progress right now. Oklahoma looking good early. No problems against Tulane. The Sooners leading the Green Wave 21-0.
They needed to get that done.
Yeah, last minute of the first half there. Oregon leading Oregon State in the Civil War, which is now a non-conference game, 22-7, the score in Corvallis. And then one more game for you, not a ranked game, but an SEC game that I think a lot of Longhorn fans are keeping an eye on today. Texas A&M leading Florida 10-0 in the middle of a weather delay at the Swamp.
Yeah, and the guys at the Swamp won't want to come back out because that will be bad news if they get shut out in the Swamp. And the fans may not come back. Weather delay, they may not even come back.
And you know who's not playing today for A&M?
Probably the quarterback.
Oh, yeah, he was questionable. He got hurt in practice this week, and he did not start. So Marcel Reed, the quarterback for the Aggies, looking pretty good, 8 of 10, 94 yards and a touchdown through 1 quarter of action. But once again, in the middle of a weather delay in Gainesville.
Go Aggies, go. You know that's right. Oh, of course.
Come on, against Florida?
Yes.
I get rooting for them against Notre Dame, but what did Florida ever do to you?
No, they're bad. They're terrible.
Well, they are terrible, yeah. What, do you want to see a new coach when the Gators come to town in November?
Dude, if they keep going in the path they're going, we will see a new coach.
Yeah.
There'll be an interim somebody. The AD may be coaching.
I think you're right. All right, so there's our first scoreboard update. We'll give you a couple of more before we wrap things up at 5:30. A reminder, Brian Davis of A to Z Sports will join us at 4:45. We'll get his perspective and his predictions on today's Texas UTSA game. Well, let's give our offensive player of the game prediction. Brought to you by Verde's Mexican Parrilla. More on them in a moment.
Okay.
Buck, I'll give you the honors first. You picked Quinn Ewers in game 1.
Okay.
You picked Quinn Ewers in game 2.
I was good.
You were right both times. I mean,
Okay.
The guy's the Heisman favorite because he's been playing so well. Are you going to go with Quinn Ewers again, or are you going to mix it up a little bit?
Don't need to. I don't need to do that today. I'm going to go with Ryan Wingo.
Okay.
I think they're going to let this freshman they're going to cut him loose. He's going to have some big plays. I expect to see another reverse, but I also expect to see him, with Quinn Ewers pushing the ball down the field, the go deep guy, or the guy that crosses the middle for 15 yards but takes the ball 60. He's got that speed. He's big. He's fast. I think they let the freshman. Last week was just an indication of, hey, let's give him the ball in reverse. Very simple. Just flip it to him. He catches it. He just runs.
Yeah.
Now let's throw it to him and see what he does with the ball in his hands. Let him make the catch and then let him make the run after the catch. I think they get him involved, and I think he has some big numbers today.
I like that pick.
And I'm not saying 12 catches. I'm saying 6 catches.
Okay.
6 catches in the game. Give him a $130 with one long run.
Those are pretty big numbers.
Yeah.
6 catches, 130 yards.
Yeah, I'm expecting them to let him loose. But the other guy also I'm expecting to let loose is Cook. I think it's his time.
Let Jonte Cook?
Yeah, let him go ahead and get some things happening.
Okay.
He may be the guy instead of Wingo. If Wingo doesn't get the reverse, that's the guy who's going to get the reverse today. Because I think Sark has to let that kid play a little bit. I think he's deserving. Sark's always talked about him. Very similar to how he used to talk about Whittington all the time. But then Whittington never got the ball.
Right.
And we can't go for years and years talking about this guy and how great he was in high school, and he never sees the ball. Let's get him the ball.
Yeah, last week was weird, right? Texas looked about as good as you could possibly look offensively, yet only 2 wide receivers caught passes. It was Isaiah Bond and it was Matthew Golden. Now,
I know what those guys can do.
Yeah, those guys have emerged as the top 2 receivers on this Texas team to this point. But, yeah, you feel like this is an opportunity. Shout out to Dan the Man, owner of Scholz Garten, walking by here. You know those guys are capable. This is one of those games where, you should be able to get those other 4 receivers in your top 6.
But I'm going to go with freshman. I'm going to go with freshman as my offensive player of the game.
Ryan Wingo, 4 catches, 70 yards to this point in the season. Had that 55-yard run against Michigan.
That was sweet.
And then Jonte Cook, 3 catches for 56 yards on the young season. So hopefully both of those guys can improve those numbers today. I'm going to go with a different freshman. I'm going to go with Jarrett Gibson.
Okay,
you talked me into Jarrett Gibson, right? Like, I don't know how much Jaden Blue we're going to get today. I think he's going to start the game, but I think because of that ankle not being 100%, I think Steve Sarkisian's going to try to limit Jaden Blue and protect him for some bigger games later in the season. So there should be a lot of opportunities for Quintravion Wisner.
Okay.
And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Jarrett Gibson as well, who scored a touchdown against Michigan. So it's clear that the coaches trust him.
Sure.
And I think this is a breakout game for Jarrett Gibson. I think he goes over 100 yards today. I really do.
That's interesting. I mean, of course, as I say, that they've got to get him ready to play for SEC play. No better way than today. You're right. But
you got two games, right? UTSA and ULM, to where it feels like you can get a lot of your guys ready for SEC play.
And plus for him, I think he needs that kind of confidence. I think he needs a big run. Scoring, that's nice from the 2 and from the 6 or whatever. But I think he needs one of those outstanding 30-yard runs, BK, where he shows off his speed. I mean, and his ability to make somebody miss. I don't know what his ability to make guys miss is. I haven't seen him in that situation. I have seen his power, though, for a young freshman that over the next couple of years is going to get even better. He's going to be tougher and tougher, sort of like the guy who was going to be starting. Like C.J. Baxter, I knew I kind of figured out what his power was going to be like this year. I don't know about Gibson, but what I don't know is his ability to make a guy miss in open space.
We'll see.
I'd like to see that today.
Yeah, Jarrett Gibson actually has the longest run of the season for a Texas running back, but it's only 22 yards. So we haven't seen that super explosive downfield run from anybody yet. And we saw it from Ryan Wingo.
Choice by you, though, too.
Yeah, saw it from Ryan Wingo, and he's got the longest run of the season. Isaiah Bond has the second longest carry of the season with a 25-yarder that he had against Colorado State. So we'll see if the traditional running backs can break one off or maybe a couple of off today in this game. Our offensive player of the game predictions brought to you by Verde's Mexican Parrilla.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. On Hamilton Pool Road, if you have never tried this place, what are you doing? It's like a 25-minute drive for me. I don't care. I'll make the drive.
Give me that white queso every day.
It's that good. They've got the gorgeous indoor dining area, which makes for a great date night. They've got the covered patio outside, which is perfect. Bring the kids, let them run around while you enjoy some margaritas and some great Tex-Mex and Mexican food.
But you can enjoy those pork chops at any time, huh?
Oh, man, that pork chop is to die for. I mean, everything on the menu is sensational. It's right there on Hamilton Pool Road off of 71. If you haven't been to Verde's yet, go see them. And, oh, by the way, if you mention TSU the next time you're at Verde's, they are going to hook you up with a free appetizer. So that queso the Buck's talking about, if you want it for free, all you have to do is go by and say you heard about them on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Now, can you sign up today here, too?
And you can sign up. Yep, one of our big prizes. Matter of fact, our grand prize for the season, Chef Cody at Verde's will go to your house and whip up a meal for 8.
Yeah, he won't go through your house and do things, but he'll go and cook for you.
He'll go to your house.
Okay.
Yeah, he won't drive into your house. He's not going to break anything when he's there. He will come to your place and cook for a group of 8 people.
Like that.
It's going to be fantastic food. So if you want to sign up, come to the table right next to us. Intern Brock is here. Intern Brock's girlfriend is here. I'm not sure if she wants her name out there, so we're just going to call her that for now.
Yes.
Crybaby Mason is here.
Love it.
I know he still hates that nickname, but that's going to last until the end of time.
Till he quits crying.
We do love you, Mason. I owe you a few beers. Thank you all for helping. But go sign up here. If you're at Scholz Garten, if you're making your way here, come sign up for that awesome giveaway. We're going to draw the winner of that during our pregame show for the A&M game.
Nice.
So last game of the regular season, we will announce the winner of that Verde's.
But we do have boots.
Meal.
We do have boots and jeans available for you today.
Boots and denim, yes. We will announce the winner of that before we get off the air at 5:30. So come by, sign up. Big crowd here at Scholz Garten. No surprise. Even though it's hot, Buck, expecting a massive crowd at DKR tonight.
Oh, yeah. This is a hot, sweaty group here now.
Oh, yeah.
There is going to be a lot of makeup dripping. There is no doubt about it today. This is one that you can't hide from. You can wear it, this is one you're up there with your shirt off today.
Girls?
If need be.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
I didn't think I was going to the game, but I might have to go to the game.
I attended the World Cup years ago with my son, and when Brazil played, everybody had their shirt off, and I begged my son, please, can I take he said, dude, do not take your shirt off.
Oh, man.
It's one of those days out here.
It is.
You just want to take that shirt off and have a good time.
Yeah, mid-90s temps right now. It's supposed to be 94 at kickoff. But, hey, there was 99,000 in the building when Texas opened up the year against Colorado State. That was a 2:30 kick. And, of course, Texas coming off that win at Michigan. I think this will be pretty damn close to a sellout.
Oh, yeah,
today.
I believe so, too. I think you're going to see we're going to notice sellouts from this point on as long as this team continues to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So come on by and see us. We'll continue to set
And by the way,
stage.
check out, how about the banner? How about the COTA BK,
Yep.
34 Wine and Spirits banner behind us? You did a fantastic job getting the guys to get this done. This is a monster.
Don't give me any credit. This is credit to our friends at Waterloo Printing and Graphics. Our man Adam put this bad boy together, and yes, it looks great. It's got our logo. It's got the COTA BK logo, the 34 Wine and Spirits logo. It is fantastic. If you've got a business that needs something like this,
yes,
or a hat like the one I'm rocking right now, reach out to Waterloo Printing and Graphics. You can find them on Instagram at Waterloo Printing. Not a lot of UTSA fans here, but there were more Colorado State fans a couple of weeks ago than UTSA fans, and UTSA is just an hour down the road. What are we doing?
I don't know. It must be a big something happened at the Riverwalk this weekend.
You think so? Are they remembering the Alamo down there?
Something's going on down in San Antonio.
Well, you know they got to eat down there. You know what Charles Barkley says about the women in San Antonio. So there's got to be some sort of eating contest going on in the 210 right
bring
now.
it on up here. You still got time.
Still got time. Honestly, you can leave now.
I'll just say this. I came on Mopac, and generally I get to a place an hour and a half before. But I got on Mopac. It was packed. Packed to coming downtown here today. Just getting off of any of the exits to get to the stadium. It is a mob scene here.
It is. Absolutely. People are excited, man. This team is really, really good. More on the offense, Buck. What about the offensive line? You know, last week there were a lot of impressive elements in Texas's 31-12 win at Michigan. But this offensive line before the year openly talked about wanting to win the Joe Moore Award, which is given out to the best offensive line in college football at the end of the season. They looked the part last week.
They've looked the part for sure in the passing game and in the running game.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I think that's one of the reasons, BK, when we're talking about these running backs, you need to have somebody stand. You need to have that standout runner because that's going to help those guys too.
Yep.
There really is for the Joe Moore Award. You end up with a couple backs with 600 yards. You know, one guy has 6, one has 7. No, you need a 1,000-yard rusher to go behind this line.
Yeah.
And you can get that. Jaden Blue can be that guy easily, I believe, because I thought if he stayed healthy to this year, he's going to be a 1,300-yard rusher. I still believe that could happen. It's just that you're going to have to be really, really careful because of what happened during the course of the summertime before you even started the season. You know, you hate to put kid gloves on a guy who's a running back. A lot of them don't want it. They want to just give me the ball.
Sure.
But you got to do what's best for the team, and I think you have to be careful with him.
Well, with this offensive line, it feels like they should be able to put you or me in the backfield.
Absolutely.
And we should be able to average.
And that's what makes it so
carry.
good. You're absolutely right. That's what makes it so good. Quentin Ewers hadn't had a lot of pressure on him. You know, they talk about batting balls down, but these guys do such a good job of keeping the defensive linemen with their hands down. Dude, I don't expect to see a ball come near being batted down with these shorties today. I mean, seriously.
The shorties.
I mean,
the UTSA shorties.
I don't expect the shorties to knock any balls down. I really don't.
Yeah. Like the one thing I want to see differently from this offensive line is fewer penalties, right? And it's Cam Williams.
Yeah.
Like Cam Williams, I thought he played well last week. He just committed 4 penalties, 3 false starts and a holding that took a touchdown off the board for Texas on that first drive of the game.
Yeah, he's getting to that area where, dude, we can't have this. I mean, now we're talking about game 3. You're playing against UTSA. We can't have you jumping off sides, holding and grabbing these guys because then we got a problem.
And you're back at home, too. I think the atmosphere and most of those penalties, I mean, Cam Williams had 3 on the first drive of the game. That was like the one drive where the Michigan fans were actually engaged.
Yeah, I also got a call to say that first one was a bunch of bunk.
Yeah.
The one that went for a touchdown and got called back. I heard that was not.
It was not a great call.
No, it was not a great call.
No, they called a hold. It wasn't a hold. But the 3 false starts they had to call.
Of course.
Like those ones, pre-snap infractions, those get called every single time. I think the atmosphere was a big part of it. I mean, it was Cam Williams' first season as a starter. That was his first true road game as a starter. He was going up against 110,000 people who were rooting for him to screw up.
Absolutely.
Here at home, friendly confines of DKR. I mean, the one game he started in Austin, he was named the SEC co-offensive lineman of the week. So I don't expect to see any problems from Cam Williams today.
No, I think he'll just keep getting better.
Yeah, and Texas has only given up 1 sack through 2 games this season. The run game has been pretty effective. Quinn Ewers has obviously had plenty of time to find his receivers open down the field. This O-line has looked the part. And I say it before every single game like this, when a team like Texas is playing a team like UTSA, the biggest difference between these 2 rosters is the lines of scrimmage.
For sure.
Like Texas, everyone's going to focus on the speed. And yeah, Texas is a hell of a lot faster than UTSA. There's no doubt there, even though they're called the Roadrunners. The difference on the lines of scrimmage, that's where you're going to notice things, and this Texas offensive line should be able to physically impose it.
Well, you're also going to notice that Kelvin Banks will be able to let the running back slide outside for these little swing screens without the defensive end getting out there. He does a remarkable job on pinning guys inside and letting that little swing screen go. You don't get a chance to beat him out there. You don't see the defensive ends like you see in college football running down swing screens with this guy. He will engulf you without grabbing you. He'll get you pinned inside, and you won't get around him because by the time those guys catch the ball, they're already into the secondary. And then I think he'll continue to do that. And he is magnificent. What a great player he is.
He's so damn good.
Yeah, and I think what we saw last week was the fact that we saw the sixth-year center do what we've been seeing him do since he started.
I think you're rounding down with Jake Majors.
Yeah, I guess. But that guy has been playing so well since the day he came to Texas.
Yep.
And they've been trying to find ways to find a better player. They haven't found a better player because he's really, really good. He's a great leader for them.
Absolutely. All right, let's shift gears here. Let's talk about the Texas defense going up against the UTSA offense. Once again, UTSA looked abysmal offensively last week against Texas State, losing that game 49-10. They played both quarterbacks. Owen McCown, yes, from the McCown family, the son of longtime NFL journeyman Josh McCown. He got the start for UTSA. He got benched in the second quarter last week. They switched to Eddie Lee Marburger, who went the rest of the way for UTSA.
Wow.
So Jeff Traylor was asked this week, who's going to start? Are you going back to McCown, or are you going to stick with Marburger? Traylor told us it will be Owen McCown who gets the start today for UTSA. But UTSA has really struggled. They haven't been able to run the ball effectively. They couldn't average 3 yards a carry against Kennesaw State out of the FCS in week 1. They couldn't average 3 yards a carry against Texas State last week. The offensive line has looked weak at times this year. This should be another great performance for this Texas defense. But before we get your defensive player of the game prediction, just give me some overall thoughts on what you expect to see from the Longhorns defense today.
Well, I expect to see, once again, winning the line of scrimmage pretty easily. I expect even though I'll have a defensive player, one defensive player, there will be defensive players that you can choose from on this defense against this offensive line. This is one of the better things that they do, Jeff Traylor does, is he's coached these guys pretty well in the offensive line. But once again, they're not big. Texas is big, physical, and should overwhelm them and just engulf them as time goes on during the course of this football game. But I think you'll see a number of guys really, really play well. I like the way the linebackers played. I thought they played really, really great football against Michigan. I thought the outside backers are getting better each week. And I expect it all depends. If Jeff Traylor, I don't think he's going to have time. Nobody's had time to drop back and pass right now against Texas. There hasn't been that 7-step drop, that deep drop by any of the quarterbacks. They haven't played the quality quarterbacks that have been able to drop back. And they haven't played the quality offensive lines that have been able to drop back against this defense. And I mean the outside rushers, the inside rushers, the linebackers, and the quality of play in the secondary has been fantastic.
Yeah, it has.
It really has. There's been some good stuff by the secondary. Much maligned group during the course of the last football season. But as of right now, I think you're finding some depth in that secondary, and I think they're all playing well. So I've got to give a lot of credit to the guys on the defensive line. But I'm giving it a lot to the guys in the secondary, just playing better.
That's been the most pleasant surprise.
Sure.
And there have been a lot of them through 2 games for Texas, but how improved this secondary looks. Remember, we just wanted this secondary to be top 50 in the country.
Yes.
They were outside the top 100 in terms of pass defense in 2023, and it was a minor miracle that Texas made the playoff despite how bad its secondary was at times. We were just hoping they'd be slightly above average. Through a couple of games, they haven't gone up against a great quarterback yet this season.
Or a great wide receiver yet.
Or really Torrey Horton
yeah.
was solid. Texas didn't make him look good at all. But regardless, this secondary has been incredibly impressive. They look like one of the better secondaries in college football, and it's a night and day difference from what we saw.
And they have depth back there right now.
And they do. And Steve Sarkisian was asked about that on Thursday. He was asked about this secondary's improvement from last year to this season. Here's what the coach had to say.
And they really are. I'm glad you noticed that. I think that's, if I could highlight 4 or 5 things from the season that I've been impressed with so far through 2 weeks, I would say our secondary's ability to tackle right now. And they're not just, especially at the safety spot, they're not just getting them on the ground. We're striking people. We're making hard, tough tackles in the open field, and it's a variety of players. And so, when I say Michael Taff or Derek Williams or Andrew Makuba or Jelani McDonald, what Jalen Gilbo's done, I kind of refer to him there, and Manny's playing physical. I have to credit the coaches, right, to some degree, because we've been drilling this and we've been wanting to play a certain style. And the fact that Coach Gideon, Coach Joseph have done a nice job with those guys of building their confidence and putting them in position with the fundamentals and techniques to make those plays. I also think it's the style of player that we have too. Of these guys are really athletic people, and it's kind of that old way of thinking. The safeties are just kind of your big, strong safety types. We try to recruit guys that have really good range, really good flexibility, have cover ability, but yet have the ability to tackle. And I think that's showing up for us right now. These guys are tackling at a high level.
He's got a number of guys that he wants to circle and highlight that have played really, really well. But they've got some experience back there also. I mean, with Makuba back there, and Barron, they've got leaders back there that can help them all get better. They make themselves better. They can get better. But athletically, that's a pretty athletic group. They always have been. It's just a matter of them getting the confidence and this defensive line giving them a little bit more pressure up front. They haven't run into that quarterback yet. They will as time goes on. But I think individually they all can stand out pretty well when it comes to playing against some pretty good wide receivers too.
Yeah.
I'm not quite as afraid as I was before.
No, I'm not either. His secondary has been amazing through a couple of weeks, and they look great at corner. They look great at nickel. They look great at safety. I mean, it's really all three positions in that defensive backfield.
Andrew Makuba's one of the best in the nation.
Yeah, Makuba was awesome last week. Right, had the interception against Michigan, made a couple of huge plays in that game, and that's a guy who's played in a lot of big games.
Oh, yeah.
3-year starter, not just a 3-year player. This isn't a random depth guy that Texas added.
No.
This was a 3-year starter and an impact player for what's been one of the better teams in college football in the last 5 years. Makuba was a huge part of that defense. I think every Texas fan was pumped when he decided that he was coming back home. And I think it's really three guys, the Texas triumvirate, if you will, with Andrew Makuba, with Jahdae Barron, and with Michael Taft. I'll give him some credit, too.
Sure.
Like all three of those guys, local kids. I think it means a little bit more, Buck. When you're a local kid who grew up and played high school ball in the Austin area, it means a little bit more, not to quote the SEC, when you're playing for the University of Texas.
Very interesting you say those three guys, because all three of them have been standouts so far in this year. And of course, Michael Taft has built himself as one of those guys that I know where the football is going to be. I will be around the football.
Yes.
You can try all you want to. You can say there's a better player than I am. Guess what? He's not going to get a chance to play on this field as long as I'm around.
Right.
And he's made sure of that. He's made sure of that with the coaches. He's made sure of that with the fans. I think he's a dependable football player. But I think they've got a number of dependable players back there now. So it's just something that they can continue to build on. They're going to build on that, obviously, and how they've recruited. Coming up with one of the best safeties in the country, decided to come here, and for a good reason. They understand that this group. And plus, it says a lot about the coaches. I mean, there's a couple coaches who were going to be under fire if this didn't get done.
You're right.
And I know it's still a long season to go, and they haven't played against that many quality wide receiver quarterback combinations. But I got a feeling that these guys understand we had better be able to coach these guys up.
You're right. Yep, Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon.
Yes.
A lot of Texas fans.
A lot of credit to how they've performed, too.
Absolutely. A lot of Texas fans wanted them gone following that Sugar Bowl loss to Washington. Now, those guys heard the noise. They heard the criticism, and they buckled up. And this whole Texas secondary has gotten a lot better. Look, Sark hit the transfer portal hard to address a couple of spots there, but development. That was sort of the area on this team that was lacking in terms of development in the first couple of years of the Steve Sarkisian era. Kind of feels like the secondary is now being developed the way that the other position groups are.
Oh, they're just as good as any other position on the field right now.
Yeah.
The way they play.
And that's the thing. Like I mentioned those three guys, not to take a shot at any of the other guys. Like you
Williams
said,
and the rest of them.
Williams has been great. Manny Muhammad has been shut down. I know it was Andrew Makuba who had that pick last week, but it was Manny Muhammad.
Got his hand in there,
got his hand in there, tipped the ball up that allowed Makuba to make the INT. So it's been a little bit of everybody. Hell, Wardell Mack is probably the fifth or sixth corner on this team.
Sure.
Had the diving INT against Colorado State to preserve the shutout in the last minute of that game. So really, it's been not just your starters, not just the household names, but everybody in this Texas secondary room that has a broad
and it's not just the way they cover, it's the way they tackle.
Yes.
It's the way they come up. It's the way they secure the perimeter when guys come, when they try to get outside on them. They get off their blocks, they get off the receivers, and then they make tackles, and they square up and make solid tackles. Guys aren't getting dragged around the place. You don't see guys running around, pointing at each other, saying, that's your guy or is that my guy? It seems like they've got all that stuff, all that scheme down. It's taking a little bit of time, but it looks like it's here right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Year 4 for Steve Sarkisian, year 4 for Pete Kwiatkowski, too. Like, that's been huge. The fact that Texas has kept its coordinators, all three of them, right? Kyle Flood on offense, PK on defense, Jeff Banks on special teams. Like, the continuity is there, the alignment is there, and the players know exactly what they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to be at all times. All right, what about a defensive player of the game prediction, my friend?
Now or never, Alfred Collins.
Okay.
Against this team right here. He's from around here. I mean, he's just from right down the road here. You're playing a bunch of kids that have made it, didn't get to go to Texas, but you've known some of these kids that you're playing against today. This is your day. You need to dominate whoever you're against today.
I tried that last week.
I know.
He was fine.
He was okay.
Yeah, he was fine.
This needs to be a standout game from him. This needs to be a game of domination, and we talk about him all next week saying, wow, did he dominate the poor kid from the Roadrunners? He just dominated. I mean, what can you say? A lot of people will say, well, he should have. Well, okay. then today he should.
Yeah.
He should dominate this. I don't care who he's over the top of. I don't care if it's a tight end. I don't care if he's at nose guard, the tackle. He should dominate whoever he plays today. I'm picking him as a defensive player because if I don't get him today, I mean, I get him the rest of the year. There may be other names coming up. This is his day today.
I'm going to go with the low-hanging fruit today, Buck.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Trey Moore, the UTSA transfer, going up against his former team. Trey Moore had 14 sacks for the Roadrunners a season ago. Boy, they'd love to have him on their defense.
Oh, I bet.
They?
Yeah.
And now he's on the Texas sideline. I don't think there's any bad blood or ill will with Trey Moore and UTSA.
Now, they may have some on their side.
Right. Well, that's life as a G5 program, right?
That's true.
You can be good, but don't be too good. Otherwise, some big school is going to poach you. This guy's messing with us right there.
He is.
We've actually had some technical difficulties, sir, so you're scaring us. He goes right up to the speaker, and he's like, I can't hear anything. We're like, shoot.
There you go. Put your hearing aids in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that guy is old enough to where maybe he needs them. But Trey Moore, a little extra juice going up against your former team. Doesn't have a sack through 2 games at Texas. He's made a couple of plays, but for the most part, his impact hasn't really been felt as a Longhorn. I'm hoping the fact that, he's going up against his old squad.
It's a good pick.
Gives him a little extra motivation, and we do see Trey Moore pick up his first sack as a member of the Texas Longhorns. And look, once again, this defense has given up 1 touchdown through 2 games.
They've all played well. The outside back, the defensive ends have played really well. I know there's, everybody wants a sack, everybody get to the quarterback, but they haven't given you much of an opportunity to get to quarterback, where every quarterback they've played so far takes 2 steps and gets rid of the ball.
Yeah, that's sort of the one statistical blemish for this Texas defense is the fact that they have just 1 sack through 2 games. But you're right. Like both Colorado State and Michigan were trying to get the ball out of their quarterback's hands quickly or trying to run the ball because they were worried about the Texas pass rush. So I assume usually the David versus Goliath game plan is to run the ball, right? Try to run the ball, win the time of possession battle, keep the opposing offense on the sideline.
Right.
Hope a little bit of doubt creeps into Goliath's mind. I assume that's what UTSA is going to try to do, which means it might be tough for Texas to get sacks again today.
As I said, that David and Goliath thing, generally David doesn't win.
No,
Most of the time David doesn't win that. That should be the way it is today. And that's why I believe that, Collins has to have a big game. I mean, you're going to be playing against – you practice against guys every day that you're not going to see today. You're not going to see whoever the starter is and the next guy after that. After you wear that one guy out, the next guy you should wear him out also, I believe.
I'm with you on that.
This is where you show how good you are. This is where you show that you can get to that next level and play.
Excuse me, Buck. Our defensive player of the game brought to you by Kenfield Golf.
Oh, do we love Kenfield, my friend?
You want to take this one? You want me to take this
one? Take it away.
All right, shout out to our great friends at Kenfield Golf Cars. If you are in the market for a new or pre-owned golf cart, we've got good news. Appreciate the love, my friend. Our friends at Kenfield Golf Cars are right around the corner. They were founded
and they are here.
They are here.
This corner.
I was about to say, if you're here at Scholz Garten, you walk around, you look at any of the golf carts driving around the stadium today. They're all Kenfield Golf Cars carts. So these guys are pros. They've been in business here in Austin since 1979. They've got an unparalleled selection of different golf carts available in new or used. They want to turn your golf cart ideas into reality. If you have one already, you want to spruce it up, they'll make it happen. If you're looking for a new one, they've got you covered. Check out their website, Kenfield Golf Cars, not carts, cars, KenfieldGolfCars.com, or give them a ring, 512-258-8515.
Love Kenfield.
All right, Brian Davis will join us in about 5 minutes, but let's do another scoreboard update brought to you by our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Halftime in Norman, Oklahoma, the 15th-ranked Sooners lead Tulane 21-6. Oklahoma offense only scored 16 against Houston in 4 quarters. They're at 21 at halftime against the Green Wave today. We have resumed play in the Swamp. Texas A&M 13, Florida nothing. 4 minutes left in the first half of that one.
Florida team bad?
They are really bad. No Connor Wigman, too. Marcel Reed, the starter at Texas A&M. He might be better than Connor Wigman. We're not entirely sure. But either way, it's a backup quarterback for A&M, leading the Aggies to a nice early lead in Florida. Notre Dame, sorry about it, Hudson Card. The Fighting Irish up 42-0 at Purdue at halftime. Notre Dame with the embarrassing loss to Northern Illinois last weekend. They've heard it from just about everybody.
Everybody in the world.
Big-time response for the Fighting Irish. Once again, 42-0 at Purdue at halftime. No Cam Rising for Utah.
Of course, really.
Yes, problem for Utah. They're trailing Utah State 14-3. Second quarter, long way to go, but the highest-ranked Big 12 team in a little bit of hot water early on there. Some finals from earlier today. We mentioned that LSU beating South Carolina 36-33 in a tremendous game. Missouri over Boston College 27-21.
And as I was on my way in here, of course, coming from Midland this morning, I was listening to Texas Tech Red Raider football, and they were tearing up the Mean Green.
They were dominating.
They were just crushing them.
Yep.
That's right. Championship runs through Lubbock.
Congrats to your Mark U.
Yes.
Texas Tech, their first easy win of the season.
Way to cut loose on a group.
Yeah, 66-21. The Your Markers knocking off the Mean Green of the University of North Texas. So it appears that the Sun Belt runs through Lubbock, Texas, USA,
Very nice.
America. All right, so there is a scoreboard update. Now a quick look at the Clean Cause YouTube comments line. Buck, a question from Michael C. When will Arch Manning come in the game today?
He'll be in the third quarter.
Okay.
I believe he'll be in the middle of the third quarter. They'll bring Quentin Ewers out after halftime, let him get a series or two, and then Arch Manning will finish out the game.
Yeah, that's about what it was against Colorado State. I
Yeah.
think with 5 minutes left in the third quarter, that's when Arch Manning took over for Quinn Ewers, and we didn't see Quinn for the rest of the day. Texas was up 38-0 at that point in the game. Hopefully they've got a similar lead today to where you can feel confident.
Yeah, you want to protect the starting quarterback, but you also want to get your starting quarterback because no matter what Sark says, he knows the rumors. He knows who's the leader for the Heisman Trophy right now. He would love to have a Heisman Trophy quarterback end up in New York. And no, he understands he can get him numbers here, and he can get him numbers early. That's why I said this ball is going to get pushed down the field today.
Yeah, it should.
It's going to get pushed down so he can get his numbers and then go sit down.
Our man Travis says, I think it's 14-3 after the first quarter, and then we blow it open and see Arch early. I like that prediction. Our man Tom McKay of Audiovisual Consultations, one of our proud sponsors of Texas Sports Unfiltered. He says Arch will be in by mid-third quarter. I see this as a 32-point win for the Longhorns today. So the line 35-36, depending on where you look. But, 30-plus, I think most Texas fans will feel good. Oh, I know
this will only get out of hand if Sark wants it to get out of hand.
Okay.
And I think to beat this team by 40 is plenty.
Yeah, that covers the spread.
Yeah, to beat them by 40 is not laying. I mean, this is a home crowd that wants to see a lot of players play. The same players that practice every day deserve to have some things happen to them good too. They want to have success. They want to score touchdowns. They want to get yardage too. I think Sark will let them do that, but I think he'll let them get to the tune in the 40s. But I don't think he'll let it get in the 50s where it gets ridiculous. So you know what I'm saying? And he feels like he's hurting college football itself.
Yeah, we'll get your.
This won't be the Northwestern State game the other night when it got into the 80s and they had to.
Oh, I didn't watch that. Someone put up 80.
Somebody put up like 86, and they had to shorten the game, and the bettors had to give the casinos had to give the money back.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They go high school running clock?
They had a running clock. They took 10 minutes off the third and fourth quarter.
I totally missed that one.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't think UTSA is that bad.
No, it's not. No.
They've got some issues, but
they won't have a running clock.
I don't think we're going to get to high school running clock level like we get when Lake Travis plays.
But once again, remember, Jeff Traylor has to be careful with his team.
Yep.
They've got a conference. They got conference games to play, and you don't want to be losing players in a game like this where he knows it. He's already said that they have to do a lot for us to be in the game. They've got to give us some touchdowns, too.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Yeah, once again, UTSA picked to finish second in the American this season. They're obviously disappointed with the way that game in San Marcos went last weekend.
Sure.
Very good chance they lose again today. You never want to start your year 1-2, but they're 0-0 in conference play.
That's right.
And they still have a shot to make it to the American Athletic Conference Championship game. They still have a shot, obviously, to win that conference as well. If they lose a bunch of dudes to injuries today, that could create some problems. All right, before we bring on our man Brian Davis from A2ZSports.com, we mentioned it's the Clean Cause YouTube comments line, Buck. How about a word?
I love the folks at Clean Cause, folks. There's a company right here in Austin, Texas, making a big difference. Clean Cause Beverage brand gives 50% of profits to support individuals in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction. Love the folks there. Half of their products do some great things here in the Austin area and around this country. Clean Cause, they are organic, sparkling yerba mate, flavors like cherry lime and, of course, orange ginger, and 160 milligrams of better caffeine. I wish I had one of those this morning on the drive back. Every sip makes a difference in the fight against addiction. And you can pick them up at H-E-B. They're everywhere, 7-Elevens. You find Clean Cause everywhere in the Austin area, everywhere in Texas, as a matter of fact. And we love what they're doing for folks that have addiction problems.
I'm about to need some Clean Cause. I'm getting tired at like 1 p.m. every day now.
Are you?
I need that pick-me-up.
1 p.m. is the time you want to go take a little nappy nap?
And I never do. I'm like, I got to power through. I got to get some stuff done. I got to stay awake. But I need the clean cause. I got to hit up HEB and get some of
Brian
that
Davis
stuff.
knows about clean cause. He's been around this area forever. He's seen it at every store that's out here.
Oh, yeah. We bring him on right now. Slash Longhorns, and he's nice enough to join us today like he does every week for our TSU pregame shows. BD, what's going on today?
Hello, boys. How are we doing?
How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Loud and clear, loud and clear. All right, Brian, so we obviously talked to you before the Michigan game, but we haven't had the chance to talk to you since the Longhorns win in Ann Arbor. Before we focus on UTSA today, would love to get your thoughts. Look, you were very confident. You said on our show you thought Texas was going to win that game going away. We will tip our caps to you, my friend. A little Nostradamus over here. But your biggest takeaways from that Longhorns beatdown win at the Big House?
I think that Texas is just as good as we thought they might be, and that maybe Michigan isn't as good as we thought they might be as well. We saw today, Davis Warren already got benched in their game today as they hopefully they made the switch to Alex Orji more permanent. I'm sure if you're a Michigan fan, that's what you want to see. But the way that Quinn operated, I heard the announcer today say, well, there's like 4 or 5 draft picks on this Michigan defense. I mean, Quinn sliced them up pretty good, I thought, and so it's I'm not saying that they're not going to be good draft picks for Michigan, but I thought Texas, I knew they were, I just felt it. It had the vibe and they rolled.
Brian, I thought Sark did a fantastic job last week of not sticking it to Michigan. He had an opportunity to stick 2 more scores in there somewhere down the line. I thought his poise was fantastic. I thought that was great for college football. He didn't have to show them anything after halftime. He could have just played ball and let his guys play. If they score, they score. But he also could have schemed them into a couple more touchdowns. And I thought that was great for college football because somewhere down the line you will see them again. In a couple of years, they come back here, and you don't want to do that to anybody. And I don't think he'll do that today against the Roadrunners because he'll have an opportunity to run it up big. But I don't think he's that guy in college football that's going to try to put up 70, 80 points. If it happens naturally, it happens. But I don't see him trying to stick it to anybody down there. He wouldn't do that to Jeff Traylor, I don't believe.
And I don't think he would do that to another school in the UT system. I really don't think. I don't think he would do that to anybody, no matter who the coach was at UTSA or UTEP. I don't think he would. If I'm Sark, I thought it was interesting. He already said on Monday how his goal was to kind of repeat the Colorado State plan of getting a bunch of guys in. I mean, I really think we'll see that throughout the first half. What was it, like 51 players played in the first half against Colorado State? I think we'll see that again today. I mean, I expect to see Arch in the second half. If I'm Quinn, I go out there, get my business done, and go to the sideline and call it a day quickly.
Ryan, we know you mentioned Quinn Ewers just there. You mentioned him in the first answer as well. I want to get your thoughts on the way Quinn's playing. I mean, right now he is the Vegas favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. Is that warranted, number one? And number two, do you feel like he can play well enough to win the most coveted individual award in college football?
Well, it's interesting about that. I mean, I wrote about this for A to Z Sports this week. I mean, he's not only the Heisman favorite right now, but, Mel Kiper has him as QB1 on the draft board. And, that's big talk. Now, granted, we're very, very early in the season. And I'm not saying that Quinn can't keep it going because he obviously can with these receivers, this offensive line. This offense is going to put up a ton of points and yards this year. But I mean, I look around college football. I mean, is there another player you'd want to trade for right now? I would argue no. And so, I mean, Texas has a guy who is the legitimate face of the program. Don't get me wrong. Sam, I love you. Sam Ehlinger, I love you, but Quinn is better. And we thought that Sam was the face of the program at that time. Quinn is the guy in the Dr. Pepper commercials we see every Saturday. So, he is a legitimate QB1. I don't think Texas would want to trade him for anyone. And yes, I think that he should be the Heisman favorite right now.
Brian, I think they showcased him today. I think Sark, last week was an opportunity to take what they gave you, and they gave you a lot. The Michigan defense gave up a lot, and this offensive line did so well. But I think this is an opportunity to push the ball down the field. This is a numbers game for Quinn Ewers. get in, get out. As you said, get out of there in the third quarter sometime. Let Arch Manning come in there and play. But this is a stat game for him. And then there's no better way than stats than to throw the ball down the field. We haven't seen a lot of that, but this is an opportunity to get used to some of these wide receivers. Can he get the deep ball to some of these guys? They've got 3 new starters in their secondary, and it wouldn't matter if they didn't have 3 new starters, but they do. And I think it's a great opportunity to go ahead and throw this ball down the field. If it's open, if you got the one-on-ones, let it loose. And I think they'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see Bond. I want to see Golden. I want to see Silas get out there, do some things. I think we'll see more of Watts. I want to see Parker Livingstone get out there and get back, get in the flow a little bit. There's so many guys that they have, but there's only one football, right? And I don't understand. Well, I know Sark has 10 million reasons to make these big decisions, but how do you get the ball around to all these guys and keep everybody happy? Man, that's hard. That's really hard. And I think
reverse to Wingo in order to get him the ball.
Exactly.
Wait till that dude gets loose down the field sometime.
Absolutely. So, and then you got to factor in Gunnar Helm. Gunnar, your tight end has to have some touches as well. So this thing has so many offensive weapons. It just seems natural that someone's going to be mad that they're not getting the what they want, right? But if I'm Steve Sarkisian, if I'm Kyle Flood, if I'm all these offensive coaches, you just keep hammering on, team, not me, team, not me. If the team wins, then the individuals will win. And that's what Texas's mantra has to be right now.
Brian Davis from A to Z Sports.com joining us today. You can find his work at A to Z Sports.com/Longhorns. Brian, I think most people expected Texas to be 2-0 through 2 games, so that's not a surprise. But for you, what's been the biggest surprise to this impressive start for the Longhorns here in 2024?
Probably Quinn. Just how well he's playing. We've seen I wrote about this. I said a bend it like Beckham touchdown pass to the right corner, a no look pass over the middle, a beautiful floater, in the back of the end zone against Michigan. He's playing really well. How they are maneuvering with the running back depth situation has been sort of impressive. We talk about the Michigan game. Buck, what did you think about how when Jaden Blue hops off the field, it almost like Sark didn't care. Wiesner, right down the middle, bang, bang, bang. And it's almost like it was deliberate play calling that I am going to beat you with my backups. That's how much I trust in these guys, right? And, I just think we're going to see more of that type of confidence coming out of them. Defensively, I know people are like, well, what? Their sack numbers. Okay, I can see how you can make a deal about the sacks and the pressures. Colorado State's offense was designed to get the ball out quick. Michigan, they didn't really do anything. So you'd like to see them get home and get the quarterback on the ground more. But to me, that's nitpicking right now at this point.
It's almost all positions. And Brian, definitely want to ask you your thoughts about how the secondary has come around in a quick period of time. In the first couple of games, they look totally different. Andrew Makuba, you've seen him for years, in this Austin area, which I wish he never would have gotten away, but he did. But the timing of having him back and being, experienced guy in that secondary has made a lot of difference.
Absolutely. And it was interesting to hear him talk this week about, coming back home and how I just find it refreshing in this new era of college football. These guys aren't afraid to speak their mind, and how he straight up said, I wasn't being developed at Clemson. I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to be developed. Right. And he comes here and he's already had as many interceptions at Texas that he did in 3 years at Clemson. Right. I mean, that's pretty impressive to me. Right. Malik Muhammad, Jahdae Barron, what those guys have done all the way around. Michael Taft, don't forget him. But, I also thought it was really interesting in the preseason how Sark essentially admitted that they had philosophical differences with PK over what was wrong with the pass defense. Was it tackling? Was it a pass rush? Was it a bad secondary? I don't know. But, they don't have to be great in pass defense. Just be average or just be good, right? And your defense is dramatically improved.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear that somebody went to Texas to get developed, Brian, because it felt like for a long time people would go to Texas to not get developed, right? That was the biggest.
How refreshing is that?
Yeah, huge change. Another thing, look, we're trying to find storylines for a game like this, BD. I mean, Texas is a 5-touchdown favorite. We all know the Longhorns are the far superior side. but Buck and I have been talking about it all week long. Like another mantra that's been surrounding Texas for a long time is that they play down to their competition.
Yes.
Are you worried about that today, next week? I mean, the SEC slate is tough, but Texas has some easier SEC opponents on their schedule this year. You feel like this Texas team has kind of turned a page when it comes to playing down to competition?
I mean, if this were 2022, yes, because they clearly did, 2 years ago. They played down thinking they could roll out there and roll over Jeff Traylor's team. Roadrunners played really well for three quarters. And so until Bijan turned it on and they finished it off. But I don't think this team does that. I think this team comes out and steamrolls them tonight. I mean, the thing about this too, man, look at all the rat poison that's been spread all over this place in the last week, right? Players of the Week awards. Oh, this team is so great. Heisman favorite, blah, 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 blah. Man, if I'm a coach, that's like your worst enemy right now. I would have to think, right? You have to go out and fight all that off. But I keep coming back to this. Texas, I don't want to say they haven't won anything because they did. They're Big 12 champs. They made it to the CFP, right? So they have done something, man, but they want something so much more. And when you're looking at, you might have to play Georgia 3 times this year. You're in a brand new league that is supposed to be the biggest, baddest league in America. I mean, there's a lot out there for this team to do. They really shouldn't even be thinking about playing down or anybody. They need to be steamrolling forward.
Built themselves this way over the last 3 years. They haven't hit a crescendo. They continue to build. They're not going to take a step down because of who they play. They just have a culture of this is what we do.
Yep.
It's the run up for years and years. You and I have talked about. It's pleasant to hear a Texas coach, no matter what athletic endeavor it is, say, "Oh no, this is not the way it is. We don't care if you give us your best game because, everybody gives Texas their best game. That doesn't matter. Screw that. If you get our best game, you're about to get steamrolled." I think this team kind of feels that way. We're not looking for you to give us your best game. You're going to get our best every week, and that's going to be a problem for your program.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to say that anymore.
You don't have to say that anymore. You need to go out there and take care of business, right? I mean, this is a program that now they expect to be a CFP contender. We have the Texas has upperclassmen that expects to be NFL picks. You are who you are on film, right? That's something coaches keep hammering into you. Are you going to play down on film? Because NFL people are going to see that too, right? You got to go out and go hard. And, normally, guys, I like to look at the other team. Who do they have? What kind of mismatch? I didn't do any of that this week. I just didn't, right? They got a new quarterback, a new left tackle, and a new right tackle. And Traylor himself said this is the biggest talent gap he's seen in 5 years of San Antonio. It's
tight end.
What time are we drinking? That's all I want to know, right?
Oh, man, that is great. All right, Brian, before we let you go, tell folks how they can find you. AtoZSports.com/Longhorns, but tell folks about A to Z Sports and everything you've got going on over there these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Come see us, AtoZSports.com/Longhorns. It's free. You can get all the same stuff that you used to read from me from the other, the paragraph plant there in town that has the terrible paywall that you can never get through, right? Now everything is free. You can come see videos 3 times a week, all the great stuff. And follow along with the Longhorns like you've always. I have a fantastic audience that's always followed me. Just doing it at a different place now. The 21st century paragraph plant, as it were. Just like you guys are now 21st century with the show.
Yes, indeed, Brian. We appreciate it. Always enjoy catching up, and look forward to our next conversation next Saturday.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, there he goes. Brian Davis, AtoZSports.com/Longhorns. Find all of BD's work over there. And like you said, it's all free. He's joined the 21st century. He's done with that newspaper that for some reason you still read. But
that's right, I do. And I've got to get my hard copy. Oh, it's Saturday. They don't bring out a copy on Saturday.
No, I bet in Monday's paper you'll get the Michigan preview.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's how it works over there. So good stuff with Brian Davis. As always, we appreciate his time. And yeah, he brought up that 2022 game. We haven't talked about that a whole lot. Obviously, a lot of changes on both sides from the last time these two teams played to these two teams today.
Sure.
But in 2022, in non-conference, UTSA came to Austin and gave Texas some problems. The Roadrunners were up 17-7 in the second quarter of that game. It was 17-all at halftime. Now, Texas ran away literally in the fourth quarter and ended up winning 41-20. Bijan Robinson just too good, 183 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jahdae Barron had a dagger pick 6 in that game. But the last time these two teams played, UTSA gave Texas some issues.
Well, I'll say this. That was the best that they had. That the team that they brought in here twice was as good as it gets. This team is not.
No.
It's just not. They don't have the trigger man right now. They don't have the wide receivers. You know, they're missing their outstanding wide receivers now graduated. The quarterback's finally gone. They only bring back the tight end. And you've got to find a way to get him the ball. And you can't let him be a tight end's not going to beat you. He's not going to score enough points. But don't let that guy get going. Please don't let that big son of a gun who's lost 25 pounds.
Yeah.
How about that?
Cardenas.
He's 265, and he lost 25 pounds. He looked like the tackle for years, and he was athletic, and he gets things done. Don't let that guy get going today. That would be a shame.
Yeah. Here's Jeff Traylor, the head coach at UTSA. He was asked earlier this week about the differences between the 2022 game and the game here in 2024. The coach echoing a lot of those same sentiments.
Oh, the biggest difference is we were a veteran team back then, and they were kind of in transition a little bit. Now they're very veteran, and we're kind of in transition right now. So that's the biggest difference. We always mark how many really great players they have in their 2 deep, and usually each team has 3 to 6. You know, they're really great. These guys have backups that are really great. Like the whole sheet's marked with great players. They've done a fantastic job in the transfer portal, developing their kids, developing their roster. They're massive. They're extremely fast. It's the best team we've ever played since we've been here.
Yeah, I mean, his coaching philosophy is go in there, let's give them a really, really good shot. We know where we'll be in the fourth quarter in this football game. Let's not get anybody hurt. Let's not overwork. I mean, he's going to tell his coaches, hey, dude, if this guy needs a blow, get him out, please. We need him for our conference play. Do not stick him in against Texas. We're down by 5 touchdowns, and you're trying to keep our starter in there because you want to give a great effort. No, get him out. We've got a conference game here in 2 weeks. I don't want that guy to get hurt as Texas rolls us out and we lose 5 guys. They can't afford to do that. And no head coach in his right mind is going to let that happen.
Yeah.
He's going to be talking to his coaches during the course of the game. And Jeff Traylor is going to monitor the players that are in the game for him. He understands where this game is leading to, but he can't afford to have guys that are being carted off the field in the football game either.
Yeah, we keep talking about how we want to see Texas rotate its players today.
Sure.
I think if you're a Texas fan, you also want to see UTSA rotate its players today.
Oh, they're going to have to anyway. Depth-wise, they're going to have to do that.
You want to see both quarterbacks in this game. You want to see all the running backs get in this game because that means Texas is taking care of business and UTSA is waving the white flag.
Sure.
Like Colorado State did, right? Like they pulled their starters midway through the third quarter when Texas pulled most of its starters and everybody kind of knew the game was over. That's what you want to see today. And, yeah, that UTSA team, I mean, in 2021, UTSA won 12 games.
Yes.
In 2022, the last time they played Texas, UTSA won 11 games that season. And they lost their bowl games in each of those 2 years. So it's not like they got that kind of cheap, random postseason win against a team that wasn't trying. Like, no, they won 12 and 11 games in those 2 seasons. They won 9 a season ago. So this is a program that has been well coached. They played against some good competition. For Jeff Traylor to come out and say this is far and away the best team that we've played in the 5 years we've been here in San Antonio, that's just a testament to how
he understands
Texas
he can't consistently have a team that's going to be 12 wins, 11 wins every year. Yeah. There's going to be some down times. In the transfer portal there, I mean, when his teams have good players, those dudes are going to want to go play somewhere else too.
Yep.
They're not always going to stick around, in good old San Antonio and play for the Roadrunners. They're going elsewhere with NIL money. I mean, they just lost their defensive end to Texas. So he knows he's going to lose players. He's not going to have the quality of player every year, and he knows there'll be down times. This is a down time now for them, I believe.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, UTSA, look, they have 14 starters back from last season, 7 on each side of the ball. That's not bad. Right?
No, it's not bad.
There are a lot of teams with way less returning experience than UTSA, but the guys that they lost. I mean, Frank Harris is the best player.
The wide receiver.
Yeah, the wide receiver is good, but the quarterback, the best player in program history. That guy was a 7-year player in college, and it felt like he started for all 7 of those years. I don't know how the hell they let him play for that long. That dude must have had COVID 4 times or something, but he was really good.
He was.
And, like, Owen McCown is solid. He was a decently touted recruit. He's the son of an NFL quarterback, but not only the talent, the leadership that Frank Harris provided during his time in San Antonio. Losing him was huge. They lost their top receiver. They lost their left tackle. They lost their right tackle. They obviously lost Trey Moore. They lost more quality than quantity, and I think that's been the biggest difference with what you've seen from UTSA this year versus those teams from the last 3.
Yeah, and they've got a quarterback now that's talking about sleight of belt, 6'2", 175. I'm almost as big as that dude. Come on now.
I'm like 6'2", 165. So imagine my slender ass out there going up against the Texas defense for 3 hours today.
He is slender now. He's tall, he's thin, but they're going to get him to start again. He's going to try to hang in the pocket. And if they want to do the things that Jeff Traylor would like to do, good luck to them. If they want to be a drop-back passing team, they better be a sprint-out team and get rid of the ball on 3 steps somehow on the sprint. And then that way they're still running into the defensive ends of the University of Texas. So it's going to be a hard day for them. And it's, as I said, it's a stat game. And it's a game, and I expect them to be. I expect Texas to be smart the way they play this game, but I also expect Jeff Traylor to be pretty smart with his players because he's got conference play and he understands that too. Because no matter what, he thinks he's still good in their conference.
Sure, they still have a shot. Once again, picked to finish second in the American before the year. Phil Steele had him winning the
trying
conference.
to get to a bowl game.
And look, college football playoff aspirations, they may be out the window now, but this is still a UTSA team that is expected to be competitive. And they probably want to get double-digit wins again this season.
And they're used to doing that over the last couple of years.
Yeah, 9 wins last year, 11 the year before, 12 the year before that. So this has been a consistently solid program under Jeff Traylor. It's why he's been linked to a number of bigger jobs around college football. Hell, this might be his final year in San Antonio if the Roadrunners put it together this season. Arkansas, Baylor, just a couple of the schools that have been linked to Traylor if they decide to make changes. So we'll see. Opposing player to watch, you may have talked about it. Are you going with the tight end?
I'm going with, is it Kevorkian?
Dr. Kevorkian?
Dr. Kevorkian Barnes. That's who I'm going with. I mean, running backs so far have been the better players on both the 2 teams that Texas has played. I mean, they were expected to at Michigan, but they really, really weren't. You know, their best running back had a total of 41 yards. Of course, Colorado State had a guy go for 100. Their best player is this dude, so I expect – that's all I can look forward to. I can't look forward to the wide receivers or the quarterback.
Who's Dr. Kevorkian again?
Dr. Kevorkian was the guy who helped assist suicides.
Oh, yeah, I got to be careful saying that.
When the people wanted out, he was there to help them out. He thought he was doing some good, and in some minds he was.
He didn't get in trouble for that?
Oh, he got in some trouble.
Oh, they caught him.
Yeah, it cost him in a ways, and some he got away with, depending on how much he helped in the van. He had his own little van he'd pull up. And
I did see a van pull up outside. Do we need to be worried?
Yeah, you should.
It's a UTSA running back showing up to the game.
I'm thinking Kevorkian is going to be that guy.
Okay. Yeah,
I got to go with the running back because I don't know enough about they don't have any standout wide receivers.
I know. Yeah.
And you barely know who the quarterback is.
Right, and we don't know how long that quarterback's going to play.
That's true.
So I'll go with a wide receiver, Devin McEwen, who wears number 3. Solid player. Yeah, decently highly touted recruit out of Jacksonville, Texas.
Very nice.
He's been okay through the first couple of games this season. Had 6 catches against Texas State in that loss last week, and had 11 catches for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Week 1 win over Kennesaw State. So it seems like he's Owen McCown's favorite target.
Yes.
It seems like he's the best option that they have. You know, their top receiver from a season ago.
The scary part is the Horns know exactly that too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this guy's not Torrey Horton, or he's not anyone Michigan had, and Texas was able to shut down every receiver that they played.
Maybe better than the guys Michigan had.
I don't know, maybe. But Devin McEwen, I guess, will be my pick for the opposing player to watch today.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. If it hits his hands, he'll probably catch it, unlike the Michigan kids who just couldn't catch a football. They were definitely in the wrong sport.
And I didn't even see. They
needed a glove.
If they were wearing gloves, maybe they needed to not wear gloves. I didn't watch much of the Michigan-Arkansas State game today, but I didn't even realize Davis Warren got benched for the Wolverines.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, they did win 28-18, but
must be cheating again.
That Wolverines offense. Well, hopefully they don't have to cheat to beat Arkansas State. Not Arkansas. Arkansas State. The opposing player to watch is brought to you by our great friends at Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment.
Just saw Brandon Mars, did we not?
Trying to give him some love while he's here, but I guess he up and left. Shout out to Brandon Mars, great friend of ours.
Yes, indeed.
And a great dude. If you have anything you need to get done at your home or at your place of business, our friends at Top Gun are here to tackle any job that you may have. They offer an extensive selection of rental equipment for everything from small home projects to large construction jobs. They've got all of the biggest brands: Steel, Hustler, Toro, Walker, DeWalt, and more. Brandon Mars and his team, they will hook you up. They are Austin's #1 source for all of your equipment rentals, sales, and supplies, and it's been that way since 1996. So, yeah, if you just need to rent something for a weekend, or if you want to buy, they've got you covered. 2 Austin area locations, one in Anderson Square up north, and the new spot in Buda down south. It's TopGun.net. Top Gun will shoot you straight.
Yes, indeed.
All right, we got about 20 minutes left in our pregame show. Still to come, our game score predictions brought to you by our great friends at Paul's Motor Works. We'll give them some love today as well. But back to Quinn Ewers, Buck. Give me a stat line projection for Quinn Ewers today. Because it's funny, once again, he is the Vegas favorite for the Heisman Trophy right now. I just looked it up. He is 42nd in the country in passing yards.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, stat day.
So, do we get a stat day, or do we get just 2.5 quarters, and that's all we get from Quinn Day?
We get a stat day. We get a stat day of over 300 yards because the ball is – they're going to light it up. When the lights go down here, when the lights go down, BK, the ball's going to be sailing in the air. They're going to want to push this ball down the field. I think Sark is going to want to get his quarterback numbers without getting his quarterback hurt, and he can get numbers against this secondary. Why not do it? Why not let some of the guys at wide receiver? Because he really doesn't know who the guy is. He knows there are threats down the field. He knows he's got 4 or 5 of those type of guys. But how do they in sync with the quarterback? How are they in sync? We haven't seen much of that. I think we're going to see that tonight. And I think we're going to see big numbers in the first half from Quinn Ewers, where he comes out in the third quarter, he plays 2 series, and then he goes and sits.
How about some breaking news from our man Chip Brown? Jaden Blue not expected to play in tonight's game.
Well, look out for the freshman.
There you go. So Jaden Blue got hurt against Michigan, left the game in the first quarter, came back right before halftime and played pretty well after he returned. But this, to me, feels like a situation that if Texas was playing a team like Michigan again, Jaden Blue would give it a go.
Yeah, if Texas was playing Mississippi State, he would be playing.
Against the team
this is conference play.
Against a team that you are favored to beat by 5 touchdowns or more, you can give Jaden Blue a little bit more time. So Travion Wisner and Jarrett Gibson will be your 1-2 punch in the backfield.
Yeah, this is now all of a sudden it's almost changed your offensive thought about here. Yeah, you're going to see, and now I believe Wingo will get a couple reverses. He'll get a couple carries as somebody out of the backfield. Cooks will get some carries. You know, I expect him to get a couple reverses, some, fly sweeps and things like that. And you may see those guys line up and just dead up be running backs in the backfield.
Yeah.
They know that. Let me tell you something. Cooks knows the running back plays. He knows which way to go, right or left, and how to take a handoff. You may see him in the backfield do some things as a running back. You may see Wingo. You won't be surprised if you don't see that big stud back there as a running back. It works for me.
Yeah, it worked pretty well last week.
I would love to see a big dude like that coming downhill.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if we see Ryan Niblett, who is a wide receiver on the roster.
And turns into a running back,
yep,
correct?
Converted into a running back. I think he still kind of practices with both. But once C.J. Baxter and Christian Clark went down with season-ending injuries in fall camp, Ryan Niblett was one of those dudes who was starting to get some run as a running back for this team. So maybe we'll see him.
It's very interesting that that's going to happen today. That's a little surprising that he doesn't get out there and play a little bit.
Yeah.
But I expect now Gibson to be that guy.
Yeah, 3 Longhorns have been ruled out for this game. Aaron Bryant, a defensive tackle, will not play tonight, and Jelani McDonald, a safety, will not play for Texas. So a couple of reserve pieces and Jaden Blue, this team's starting running back. The injuries just keep coming. Once again, this feels like something minor. It feels like Jaden Blue could play if he was needed, but that's not
why
crazy.
do that? I believe why would you do that? That makes too much sense. And I know folks will say, well, they're not taking them serious. No, that's taking it real serious. That ankle is enough that he doesn't need to tweak it anymore from this point on.
Yeah.
I think you'll see him again next week, unless you don't see him next week, and I'll word again.
I was going to say, if you need to rest Jaden Blue for an extra week to get him ready for Mississippi State, that's fine. There's part of me that thinks if you want to rest Jaden Blue until Oklahoma, that wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Obviously, if he's healthy enough, he's going to want to play.
This is just such a great opportunity for the freshman right now.
But it is, yeah. I mean, Jarrett Gibson, before we knew about this, Jarrett Gibson was my offensive player of the game prediction.
You're right.
I feel great about that. I think he goes for over 100 today. I think he's going to get plenty of run in this game.
He may have a huge game. You may that over 100 may end up maybe 200 tonight.
I wouldn't hate that, right? I mean, if it looks like we've got another stud running back at Texas as a true freshman. I mean, we feel great about Jaden Blue. Jaden Blue's in his 3rd year.
Absolutely.
If there's a guy as a true freshman here, you're like, oh, hell yeah, we get 2 more years of this guy.
And Wisner's going to get some numbers tonight, too.
Wisner will get some run. Maybe we'll see the white boy, Colin Page.
Yeah, you will see that. You'll see all of that.
Yeah, hopefully you get to see all of those guys. But I don't think there's any Texas fan who is complaining about this decision to keep Jaden Blue on the sideline. This is not going to impact the Vegas line. This should not impact your feelings about this game today. The Longhorns should still be able to run all over this UTSA
because
team
what they're going to do is they're going to put numbers up in the air today.
Yeah, and that might go to the point you were making a couple of minutes ago, right? Quinn Ewers. You think it is going to be a big stat day for Quinn Ewers. Well, now you're without three starting running backs, or three of your running backs, including the two guys you expected to be your two starters going into the year.
The best players you have are at wide receiver. Let them roll.
That's enough to say. Could be a big wide receiver day. Could be a big Gunnar Helm day.
Sure.
You talked about it last week going into the Michigan game, how you wanted to see the screen game as an extension of the Texas run game. That was a huge part of their offense last week. I think Jaden Blue and Trey Wisener combined for 8 catches in the win in Ann Arbor. So you might see some of that today too.
Yeah, and when you talk about Gunnar Helm, I think that's going to be done every week from this point on, because he is a big part of your offense. He's a 5-catch-a-game guy now, and this isn't because you're playing the Roadrunners. This is going to be playing. It doesn't matter if you were playing LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Arkansas. You're going to see him as he's a huge part of what they do offensively. He's in the game plan as a 5 or 6 catch guy in the game, because he deserves to be.
Shout out to our man Noe with the $50 super chat.
Very nice. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Noe. I always appreciate you tuning in and chiming in on our TSU pre and post game shows. We will have a post game show immediately after the clock hits 000 tonight. It'll be Zay and Wags manning the show doing post game.
Madman TV
after this one. So brace yourself. You might get drunk Wags tonight.
Wow.
Which is a scary thought for everyone. It should be a hell of a lot of fun. So there's your breaking news with this Texas team. Let's hit one more scoreboard update before we get to our final 10. We've got to give our game score predictions. We have to draw a winner for the Ariat boots and denim. If you're here at Scholz Garten, this place is packed. I don't even know if people can hear us in here.
It is packed.
It's a madhouse in here today. But if you are here at Scholz Garten and you are hearing the sound of my voice, sign up at the table next to us. Your chance to win a free pair of Ariat boots and denim. We're going to do the drawing at about 5:25. So 10 minutes from now, it will be your chance to win. So sign up if you haven't done so already. One final scoreboard update brought to you by our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Buck.
Sorry, BC.
Sorry, BC. Sorry, Florida State. They lost again today to Memphis. The Florida State Cinnamon Rolls are now 0-3 following a 20-12 home loss to the Memphis Tigers. FSU started the year as the 10th-ranked team in the country. They were undefeated until bowl season last year. They are
all
now
that talk.
0-3. And yeah, they were doing a lot of talking this offseason about how they deserved to make the playoff last year and how they were out for revenge this year. They are 0-3. Yikes.
With some big games left to play, too.
Yeah. It's Memphis, a non-conference
game.
game.
Do they have Miami somewhere down the line?
Yeah, they do have to play Miami at some point this year.
Wow.
It's not been a good start to the year, and I don't know if you can fire Mike Norvell because his buyout is pretty massive. But
and after after winning 13 games last year,
there he is. Brandon Marr's coming back.
How can they do that? They can't.
It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day today.
I guess they can do it, but a guy just won 13 games. That's kind of hard the next year to say goodbye to him.
And DJU is broken. Everyone's like, how could you possibly go get DJU? Like, he's never been this bad.
No.
He's never been this bad. He looks lost out
his
there.
starting day should be over with, I would think.
Yeah, so Florida State loses again. Some other scores from around the country. Oklahoma on top of Tulane, 24-13 at the end of the third quarter in Norman. You got Oregon over Oregon State, 32-14, the most impressive performance of the year for the Ducks so far. Utah back on top of Utah State, 17-14, closing seconds of the first half.
The Fighting Irish doing the Purdue Boilermakers.
And yeah, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame were up 42-0 at halftime against Purdue. It's now 52-7. Late third quarter.
Thinking they can still get into the college playoffs, huh?
Yeah, they've only lost once. If they go 11-1, they'll be in. Now 10-2, because they don't play in a conference, it may be tough. Now they are Notre Dame, and they're a huge brand. And
see the Fighting Gundies held in there, huh?
Yeah, Oklahoma State, no problem with Tulsa today, 45-10. Some games that are final. Alabama 42, Wisconsin 10. You mentioned Boston College. Your Eagles came up just short against Mizzou, 27-21.
They were getting 16.
So they did cover. Is that where you're at now as a BC fan? You don't care about wins, you care about covers?
Well, I didn't think they were going to be Missouri. A lot of people thought that was going to be a kill shot.
I did.
They hung in there.
I did, yeah. You were right. You thought that game would be close. I thought Mizzou was going to take it to Boston College. BC was up 14-3 in this game, but Mizzou just kind of tacked away and was able to come back and get the victory. LSU over South Carolina.
And that Michigan score is a struggle. They're still struggling.
And Michigan 28-18.
Wow.
They win against Arkansas State. Halftime in the Swamp. I don't know if Billy Napier is going to be allowed to coach the second half.
Dude, that is horrifying.
A&M without Connor Wigman, 20, Florida 0. And how about this game? Speaking of halftime, Arkansas, who damn near beat Oklahoma State in Stillwater last week, they are tied at halftime with UAB, 20-20.
I won't fall for the cheese of that, for sure.
And Tulane just scored again against Oklahoma. It's now 24-19. So the
Yeah,
Sooners.
and you know what? The Sooners get out to that nice lead early. And what are they going to do, fade in the second half?
I don't know, man. That Oklahoma offense apparently is still struggling.
They're good for a while. That's what it looks like right now against Tulane.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
Tulane must be pretty well coached.
They
got a new coach.
They did get a new coach.
That's
yeah.
right.
Willie Fritz actually coached against OU last weekend. He's now at Houston. Tulane almost beat Kansas State last week. They kind of choked that game away. There was a controversial pass interference call, and they lost by just a touchdown to K-State. So they're a decent squad. They've got some talent back from a good team last year.
And I've put the voodoo on Kansas because they lost again.
Yeah, Kansas needs to fire its offensive coordinator. He's only been there for 3 games. I've seen enough.
You have, haven't you?
I've seen
that
enough.
Doesn't look like the same offensive team.
Jeff Grimes, who was awful at Baylor last year. Every Baylor fan wanted him gone. Kansas, for some reason, hired him. The worst decision, the only bad decision Lance Leipold has made in Lawrence, because he's turned that program around. And, Kansas now 1-2 on the year, losing to UNLV. All right, final 10 minutes of the show. We got to get your 3 keys to victory, my friend. I keep forgetting to ask you. It's brought to you by our friends at Hat Creek. More on them in a moment, but what are your 3 keys to victory?
You know what? In a game like this, I think you need to get off to a quick start and show the Roadrunners that you mean business. This is not where it's like a walk in the park where you just played Michigan and you're not going to take this game serious. So get off to a quick start. And as I said, I think the ball will be flying around the yard today, number 1. Continue to play physical football on both sides of the ball. This isn't the week where your defense says, you know what, we don't have to do that much against this team. No, you got to continue to dominate physically on both sides of the football too. And number 3, please do push the ball up the field offensively. Let's see the ball aired out a little bit tonight. Give your fans something. Give your wide receivers something. They haven't had a chance to really get loose, the wide receivers, because the ball hasn't. Quinn Ewers has done such a great job of taking what they give them. They're going to give you throws tonight.
Yep.
Okay, it's not like, okay, here's an 8-yard throw. By the way, they're going to give you some 30-yarders. Go ahead and take the 30-yarders if they give it to you. Don't be afraid to do it. So I expect to see the ball pushed down the field early in this football game.
Yeah, Quinn hadn't taken a lot of risks this season.
No.
He's got 1 interception, but I think on that throw where his arm got tipped and the ball got tipped at the last second, I think he was trying to throw it out of the back of the end zone. Like he didn't see anything he liked. I think he was just kind of trying to throw it away, and it turned into an interception. But for the most part, like you said, not a lot of deep shots, and Quinn has just been very smart with the football. We'll see if he's a little bit more of a gunslinger.
You know, I mean, now he can get that done and still get a bunch of yards tonight, but that means he'll be playing until late into the third, maybe early in the fourth quarter, and I don't want to see that. I'd rather see him get out of here. You know, the second series of the third quarter will be sitting down with about 275, 300 yards of offense, 4 touchdowns in the air. So I think they'll push the ball. I think Sark understands that, yeah, I've got a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback that I really haven't cut loose. And I don't have to dink and dunk and do 8-yarders with him. They're going to be guys open. He's going to have opportunities. I think they're going to take advantage of the opportunities.
Yeah, Quinn had 260 in 2.5 quarters against Colorado State. He had 246 last week against Michigan.
I think he'll be in the 300s tonight.
So yet to get to 300 yards, but you'd like to think today is a great opportunity for Quinn Ewers to get there. I like that. 3 keys to victory. And I'll ask you this question as a follow-up. You know, last week you said if Texas wins the coin toss, you thought the Longhorns should have taken the ball.
I think that may be their deal for the rest of the year. If you win a game like Michigan and you did that, if I win the coin toss, I'm taking it for the rest of the year.
Why not? It worked last week.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Texas didn't score on their opening drive against Michigan. They had a touchdown called back, and they missed a field goal, but they had no problems marching down the field against Michigan. They kind of sent a message to that Wolverines defense.
It most certainly did. Hey, we'll take the ball. No, we're not waiting until the second half. We're going to take it right now. And the same thing for the Roadrunners. Show them that you mean business immediately. And if we win, we want our best unit with the ball. We want our offense with the football tonight.
And hopefully Texas goes on a streak offensively, right? Last week they had 4 straight scoring drives to close out the first half against Michigan, against Colorado State. 7 of 8 drives they scored points on during the middle of that game. So you'd like to see this Longhorn offense find a rhythm like they have in each of these first 2 games. Hopefully they can turn this one into a rout. Bucky's 3 keys to victory brought to you by our great friends at Hat Creek Burger Company. Started as a food truck on West 6th,
You were there. You were back there, weren't you?
I wish. 08, I was 14. I don't think I was allowed to be on 6th Street at that time. If I lived in Austin, I would have snuck in. I would have used a fake ID to get those burgers and shakes because they're phenomenal. They've obviously grown 26 locations across the Lone Star State. They're all over Central Texas, as you all know.
Check out their breakfast menu, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Great breakfast tacos, the pancakes that they've got. But, of course, they're known for their burgers, their fries, their shakes. They're all there. They're all phenomenal. And despite the growth, Hat Creek will always be a place for good food, good folks, and good fun.
Yes, sir.
It's that simple. Love our great friends at Hat Creek Burger Company. All right, got 5 minutes left. Hey, Brock, can you hear us?
We need some names.
You ready for a drawing here? It's about that time. We've got our game score prediction that we will give before we wrap things up, and we'll get intern Brock's pick on this game as well. But now we've got to do our drawing for the pair of Ariat boots and denim. Shout out to our friends at Ariat and our friends at Cavaliers, by the way, for hooking us up. Here, I'll let you do the drawing. I guess I've got to read it because you don't have a headset on. Intern Brock with the drawing. And the winner,
intern Brock
of the Brock Bollinger. What are the odds? I don't think you can win. Sarah Whitlow.
Sarah Whitlow.
Is that what we're thinking here? Sarah Whitlow? Is that what we're going with? Not the best handwriting we've ever seen.
We got to do a better job.
Not the worst.
Whitlow, that's it.
You're going Sarah Whitlow as the winner today?
Yes, sir.
I think so.
All right. Is your headset working, Brock? I don't know what's happening here. Congrats to Sarah. We will reach out to you, the winner of the Ariat boots and denim. And once again, special thanks to Covert BK and 34 Wine and Spirits for being our title sponsors today. All right, now it's time, gentlemen. We've reached the last 4 minutes of our pregame show. The game score prediction brought to you by our friends at Paul's Motorworks. More on them in a moment. Brock, you've got the headset on. We will give you the honors first. Who wins and what's the final score today?
I'm going Texas 59-10.
59-10. So a Longhorns win, a Longhorns cover, and an over.
Yes.
For those of you who care about those kinds of things. All right. Thank you for your service, Brock.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brock.
Appreciate the work y'all have done at the table next to us. All right, Buck, your turn.
I'm going to go 56-10. And remember, Texas gives them 7.
What do you mean, like a pick 6?
Something happens where they get 7 given to them. You know, their coach has been saying they're going to have to give us something. Well, Texas may give them 7 points. That still covers. 56-10 is fine.
That's still an over as well. So
yes.
We've got a 59-10 from Brock, a 56-10 from the Buck. I'm going to go with 69-0. Very nice. I feel like we're due.
You think Sark would do that to him?
69. Yeah, with a chance to put up a score that nice, how could you not?
Yeah, that's true.
That might be my score prediction next week, too, against Louisiana.
I'll bet your score later on tonight.
It might be. Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. I would not hate that. Oh, it's a family program.
Okay.
Let's make sure.
Game day.
We are talking about football here. But, yeah, I think Texas wins. I think they wouldn't going away. This defense has been so incredibly impressive. Even without Jaden Blue, I feel like this offense is going to have success running the football. I think Quinn Ewers is going to push the ball down the field a little bit more than we've seen through 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think they get those numbers that you're talking about, BK, in the 60s. If Texas has 2 turnovers, they go for scores. 2, scoop and score, interception and score. I think if they can score, if they get 14 on defense, that's going to be a problem. That gets in the 60s.
My UTSD is not kicking in today. It did last week during our pregame show, right? Because I was so confident all offseason long that Texas was going to boat race Michigan, and I got scared and ended up picking it as a 1-score Texas win. I don't feel that today.
You just feel like this team's about to get rolled.
I feel like this team's pretty freaking good, man.
Yes.
And we've been waiting a long time for a Texas team
as good as
the one that I think we have here in 2024. Shout out to Shady and Sports for the $5 super chat. Thank you for your support and the kind words. And shout out to our friends at Paul's Motor Works for sponsoring our game score prediction. Paul's Motor Works has been providing complete foreign and domestic automotive repair in Austin since 2000. They specialize in BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, and Mini Cooper, but they do so much more than that. If something's wrong with your car, go see them. Tell them you're a TSU listener. They will take care of you. It's where I go to get everything done. My oil changes there. I had brake problems recently. They fixed it up at Paul's Motor Works. Paul's a great guy. Chris is a great guy. Audra's awesome. And great people. Big Longhorn fans. Big TSU fans. If you're looking for a good car mechanic, look no further than Paul's Motor Works, 620 and 2222. You can find them online at pmwaustin.com. Thank you very much. And shout out to our man, CB.
CB, look and check out how short the dudes are from UTSA today.
For the $2 super chat. And it's
Short dudes.
I want to end the show with this one, Buck. It is a sad day for Austin sports. This is the 7-year anniversary of the passing of our good friend Sean Adams.
Yes.
Who died suddenly on this day, September 14th,
He was your guy.
2017. Yep. That was the first full-time job I ever had in radio, was producing a show, The Bottom Line, with Sean Adams and Chip
Right.
Brown. And Sean meant a lot to so many people in this city. He meant a lot to me, and was taken from this world way, way too soon. Still remember exactly where I was when I heard the news, and still think about him almost every day.
Yep, I took that trip with him from Dallas, and we came back from some Big 12 meetings. I remember that well. I remember that was a long conversation with him back here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Life talks.
So, he was great at that, man. Could talk
So
sports
was.
with the best of them, but also
Could
talk life, and just always had the right thing to say. So, miss you, Sean. Rest in peace, my friend. 7 years. Crazy to think about. All right, that is going to do it for our Texas Sports Unfiltered pregame show. Shout out to Scholz Garten once again for having us out today.
Thank you, Dan. We appreciate it.
We'll be back here next Saturday and the following Saturday.
Oh, yes.
2 more home games coming up on the schedule for the Longhorns. So if you couldn't make it to this one, we hope to see all of you next week, or at least at some point this season. Special thanks to our friends at COTA Text at 34 Wine and Spirits.
Seen an awful lot of St. Patrick gear out here today.
A lot of St. Patrick gear out
Patrick
here
gear.
today. We're both rocking some St. Patrick shirts. Shout out to all of our great TSU sponsors for allowing us to do what we do. Many thanks to Wags back home for running the app today. Thanks to intern Brock and intern Brock's girlfriend and Crybaby Mason for handling our merch table today. And thanks to you, Buck. Fun show today.
It was. Great job, man.
Great job to you as well. And thanks to everyone for tuning in today. We appreciate it. Y'all enjoy the game tonight. Once again, post-game show with Zay and Wags right after the game goes final. We appreciate y'all tuning in. And I'll end the show the way Sean Adams would always end his shows. The dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. Go to work. Peace. Hook 'em, y'all.